see how both of these two teams looked to play into one another, because we know that they know each other inside and out.
One of the things that I love to do is, like, when you look at a game and you think, right, who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, who do you want to win? Like, FURIA are the juggernaut, and they're dressed in black. On the other side of the stage, staring them down in white, is the underdogs in w7m, and underdogs isn't even the right term, because they've won a major as well. So between these two teams, you've got, what, 4 majors, an invitational, you've got the reload title as well. This is a behemoth of a game, and I think one of the good things I like about this is 2 fantastic coaches standing behind those 2 teams as well. And I don't think there's any coach who gets his team up for a game like Igor. Like, he really gets in there and he lives every single moment.
Can't disagree. Of course, the maps for this particular series, we didn't get a chance to note them on the pre-match desk, but it's Chalet, Border, and Club. First 2, much more open, fluid, and aggressive, and if required, and probably likely, Clubhouse will slow things down potentially a little bit more. I mean, I say slow down, that's in the context of SAL, where the pacing is always up and about. Expect opening kills frequently in the first minute, and perhaps most rounds to be decided before the final minute. That can genuinely be the case when these two teams clash. Basement first up, and speaking of clash, bands also in play. It's Grim, Doc, Azami, or Dockerby, Azami, and Clash.
Yeah, the bans, I think, are a good one. An execute heavy operator and an operator that's great at clearing space, so it'll make things a little bit more difficult for w7m. Now, with this basement defense to kick things off, you have KZ on the roam on the top floor. You know, I think back to some of the best roams I've seen on Chalet. It's all about staying hidden, but early days, you've got Volps on the Nomad. It'll be his job. There is an early engagement, and he will get, I think it's actually Dots that gets that down, but not out. And I think on the other side, there's got Legion not too far away. KZ just holding the angle, but look at how aggressive that FURIA are being on this roam.
Yeah, I wonder if KZ's position is known, because he could pounce on this clear. It looks like w7m are doing their due diligence, and he is caught. And the body shot from Dots. There's a lot in this match from these two, a lot of passion, a lot of pride on the line.
Yeah, doing a great job of dismantling this roam on the side of FURIA as w7m, as they've taken just over a minute, and as you said, you expected kills to come fast and furious. Another gunfight's about to kick off. This time it's Philippe Box, but he will win as one, but he's been downed on the other side. So it's a 2 versus 3 of standing players. Philippe Box is down. Nade is not too far away, but he cannot go for that res until he deals with Volps first. And just like that, Palu will secure that kill from the west main window. He'll vault on in, so Nade's got himself a 1 versus 2 here over by Kitchen. And if he can just get one of them, make it a little bit easier for JV92, it could be a big moment in this game.
And keep in mind, this is all taking place a long way away from the objective, but w7m flipping the storyline of this opening round. JV92, well, he's caught. w7m up about in the opening round.
A big round for w7m, a statement on Chalet, winning your opening round on attack as Igor. You know, he's shouting over there, but he's smiling, he's just having fun with it, but that is a statement. And as you said, kills fast and furious. If you're going to roam, you've got to either get value in kills or get value by delaying the attack and forcing them to clear. But within the first 30 seconds, you'd lost 2 players.
Bombs from being defused by attackers. Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Again, as we kind of alluded to, the expectation, especially if you haven't watched these teams before, rounds will be dictated early and often a long way away from the objective. We did not see a single firefight anywhere near the objective. Like, that is just how these teams love to play. They were the ones that pioneered the kind of modern meta that we're in currently. And I'm very intrigued to see just how much of that continues throughout the series. The expectation will be a lot, unless we go to Club, and then it might normalize a little bit. Over to Bar for the second round. Can't say anything standing out massively to me in terms of composition. I mean, there were a couple of repicks from w7m. Blitz brought into the fray, suggesting it could be a little bit more direct, but again, that's a really good tool still for the map clear as well.
Talk about like the dynamic duo that they have of JV92 and KZ and how they'll kind of play close together. It's what FURIA like to do. Look at the operators they're playing. So JV92 with a Fenrir, those F-Nats will go off as someone looks to tech space. The Ella Grismont mine's doing the same. So really they've taken operators that are their signal to swing. So they're not going to aggressively hold the window, but the second someone walks through a door or window and that bit of utility pops off, that's when you'd expect them to swing a little bit later on.
So Loban then with map entry trophy side. For Leapbox though, the first to fall elsewhere. The DMR from Volps hits hard. FURIA try to reaggress back to maybe find a trade, but it's unsuccessful. And in the meantime, Palu has been able to double down for the attack. He's done that from the safety of outside, and in doing so, unlocked vert control here for the attack. In the meantime, FURIA has still spread across the map. There's 2 on bedroom side, 1 library stairs. They have nobody on the objective, and it's a free plant for w7m.
Yeah, Volps is going to get this plant down. You can see that Nade knows there's somebody over by Mudroom. He'll smoke that player off, but you're in a post-plant scenario now. Now, Palu will find another kill as you step up, leaving it all down to KZ, the final man standing. He's got a 1 versus 4. He's got to ace this round, and he's only got 22 seconds to do it if he wants to get to that case, and he's not going to, as Dodes will find the kill. But what I love what they're doing thematically here with Chalet, if you think about this map and cutoffs, they're basically cutting the map into separate sections, and they're saying, well, we know that FURIA, I'm going to let him finish his little role, but we know that FURIA are going to roam. So what they're doing is putting pressure on a player and forcing them to the cross, where you've got somebody like Palu holding either piano window or holding double window. You're basically using pressure to force someone else into a gunfight, which you're going to be favored in.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, they look really clinical in these opening rounds. Entertaining to watch, especially if you're a w7m fan, but for the FURIA fans and probably the players who are an extended side of the server, a little bit of a concerning start. Just some teething issues for them. Kitchen on the rotation now for the 3rd round. Emphasis on vertical control on this particular site. The castle will aid in that. w7m bringing some counter tools of their own, namely the, well, I was going to say the Twitch into the Fenrir, but they elect to pivot. Ying also brought in as well, again suggesting we might see that pacing continue to amp up a little bit here. Can also be a late round execute tool, but with these teams in play, I doubt that's probably going to be the case.
Once again, we're seeing a shield operator being brought. This time it's the Blackbeard, where they found success in round number 1. Volps once more will bring the Nomad into play to cut off some flank potential for the side of FURIA. As you said though, Palu will look, it's something he does very effectively is find kills from outside the map, outside the sites. He'll sit and wait and hope somebody will give something away and then build the round from there. But I will say this, much better job from FURIA on getting rid of those drones in the early stages of this game, because all 5 of the prep phase drones have already been removed.
Yeah, good spot. That's going to make the mid round more difficult for the attack. They can make up for that though with the Blackbeard to play frontline info, and Deimos as well for the backline threat as well. Loban lurking below. Oh, caught out Herds with the UMP, able to claim the first blood in this particular round.
Just see that at this point in time, there's still a heavy roaming presence from FURIA. It's the way that they like to play this map. This point now, Dodes will step in with the Blackbeard and begin to take some space. Obviously, with this not being a top floor site, you'll reinforce that wall off fully with no head holes. So in seeing that, Dots is just going to step in and move all the way down. Look, he's pushed down to blue. They know that a player's nearby. He's being hot droned in. They're looking to force these 2 fights.
Does Herds get caught? The answer, yes. Volps as well catches JV92. w7m showing really good proficiency to fight back and bite back in the mid round, even at a disadvantage. Their info gathering, again, with limited utility in terms of that drone count, the economy lacking, they make it count. Sure, Volps is low, but they still have a firm advantage now for the remaining minute. Probably looking now for some vert presence. They don't have dedicated, oh, they do, sorry, have the dedicated vert in Sledge. If they can get Dodos in a position to then clear out sight, FURIA will be made very uncomfortable. 3 of them, though, currently above.
And you have to realize that if Blackbeard is just going to sit there that long, he's trying to force someone else into a fight, and that's what happens as Dodes will find that kill. Now, Fleetbox will get another, but it leaves everything down to KZ. in the 1 versus 3. And Dodez gets the kill, and this is a dominant start to the map on attack from w7m. And the thing about it is, it's been so clean that there's been no real round so far that I've even said FURIA have had a chance.
What a start from w7m. They are bringing heat into the server currently. But you'd be bold to state at any point, outside of the map officially being over, that FURIA cannot come back. They'll call a tactical timeout after seeing the first rotation and now look to formulate a plan to respond. I think, honestly, a large part of it is just, let's wake up. Let's try and just get at least one round on the board and gain a little bit of confidence and try to match this pacing from w7m. To be fair, early rounders looked pretty good, but when w7m flicked that switch, maybe hunt down a player elsewhere, and then FURIA looked to support the roam, that's happened a couple of times, both players end up dying. It flips the round really, really quickly, and then the anchors on site haven't been able to reposition or recompose themselves to be able to fight back them in a way that is competitive. w7m have just trounced them in the late round as well.
I'm going to say pardon the pun, but what they're really doing is herdsing the FURIA players into positions where they're able to find those kills at these points. But I'm just so impressed by the way w7m have come into this game. FURIA needed that timeout because at 3-0 down, where w7m have dominated the attacks, you've got to get something really going now. One other thing to point out as well, because Brazil is played on LAN, and these two teams play each other multiple times a year.
They're so used to it.
They're used to it. But they all live in roughly the same area. They're going to see each other most days every single week. Like, there really is something personal about games like this.
A lot of words exchanged both ways, well, particularly in the direction of FURIA. And whilst my Portuguese is not up to scratch, I'm sure it's probably not the kindest of words being exchanged at the moment. Just trying to plant that seed of doubt in the minds of FURIA. Just prior to that tactical time out, of course, the additional bans in play. Blackbeard from FURIA and w7m on the side of attack don't want to deal with Legion, so they'll both be out for the remaining 3 rounds of this half.
Well, there, talking about maybe swinging momentum, Herds will get the opening kill for FURIA on this one, as he will play up inside of Library. He has the escape hatch there if he needs it to drop down into games, and at some point, if you're w7m, you can put pressure on him again, and if he drops the hatch, you have somebody sitting and waiting to pick up that kill. But he needs to have an impact on this round. Like Herds, the stat line, only 2 kills through 3 rounds already. You expect much more from a player who was formerly known as one of the better entries inside of Siege. So at this point, w7m, they're going to get on the drone, but interesting addition from Loban. He's going to bring Fuse into play.
Yeah, it could be a tool to flush out utility vertically. It does look like w7m are currently setting up for some kind of set play on this roam clear, but oh, disrupted. Herds aggressive inside of games, catches dots off guard. And that's probably the first time we've been able to utter that sentence, catching w7m off guard. Now, Loban does respond, and w7m still have at least half the round to work with, but a player down through the mid-round hasn't really been the case so far. So we'll see if they can now battle out later on. In this particular occasion, they have some vert potential with breach charges. They have the fuse cluster charges as well to clear some of that utility perhaps below. Will that be enough of a difference maker though? Probably not. A firm hold over towards Library Stairs, shotgun in hand from KZ. Can they air jab him out of this position? Could be the play, but dealt with handsomely by the Warden.
Yeah, and you're not going to stay in that gunfight either if you've seen that air jabbing thrown. Palu will find a kill on the KZ as the smoke will bloom, allowing the player to fall back a little bit further inside of blue at this point. And here's a gunfight that I think always kind of suits the attacker, but it is a shotgun in the hands of JV92. Flash grenade will get thrown, but there should be cover from Philippe Box. He's going to wait, he sprays, he gets the knock, and will flush that one out onto Palu, but there's still another attacker just tucked into that little cubby as they push down blue. Volps with the case in his hand. A smoke grenade's going to flush another player into the waiting irons of Philippox as he gets that one, and it's all down to Volps. DMR in his hand inside of blue, but this is a much better response from FURIA.
So FURIA finally able to post a round on the board. Doing a much better job in retaining advantage through that round. And they made the final push. Very, very difficult. Good counter utility from the smoke. Nice shots being hit. Patience as well in blue despite the flash dump. There's just good discipline across the board and a really good example of the kind of team play that FURIA are capable of. We just didn't quite see it earlier on, but off the back of the tackle, looks like they're switched on.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
And obviously the ban phase, we didn't really speak about it, but the third bans have come in. Blackbeard being removed for the FURIA, and w7m electing to get rid of the Legion, which FURIA have been using as an early alarm bell on any push that's been coming their way. So we move on to round 5. As we said, w7m with a 3-1 lead. FURIA winning the only round where really you could say they've had a chance because of how effective w7m's early game attacks were. But you feel like this is a vital round. If w7m win this and secure at the bare minimum 4 attacking rounds on Chalet, you've got to feel they have the advantage. So for FURIA, I know it's early in the game, but I feel this is such an important round because at this point they really do need the 3-3-1/2.
So again, a pretty varied composition once more from w7m. They introduced the Brava in play, and that can be used to directly counter 3 out of the 5 defenders. Fenrir, Mute, and the Mozzie will be vulnerable. Default cameras, of course, can be accessed. Herd's very aggressive again early round. We saw it over towards games previously, and now a library extension. Hatch opened for the drop, but he's eager to find this opening kill.
And the longer he stays there, the more likely it is that he's going to get flushed out from that position because Deimos is going to track him now at this point. So they've essentially set up that 1 versus 1, but because of the angle of that fight, realizing he's pushed back in towards top Mez fireplace, you don't really want to be Deimos there because the attacker will know which side you're pushing from and pre-fire, or the defender, sorry, will pre-fire around the corner. But at least you know which defender you're dealing with playing here by fireplace. Sentry is going to get just pulled again. You know exactly where they are. But while all this is going on, look at the slow creep from Dota as he starts to make his way up, and Palu will get the opener on the KZ.
Live drone for Dota as it gets checked by Philippox though. What a read. And what a shot to follow. 4 versus 4, midpoint of the round, but it's a second lurk. Loban testing the limits of this defense, and Philippox doesn't have the read on that one. Well, with that and Palu, it's a 4-2 advantage. Nade and JV92, who's yet to find a kill, under pressure to find a follow-up round for FURIA.
w7m looking really good on the attacking phase of this game once more. Nade and JV92 need to make something happen. Palu will rappel up onto the roof and reposition himself at this point as another smoke will go off, hoping to bait Nade into a gunfight that really doesn't suit him. Over by the other side, pressure is coming in. They're going to continue to drone with 45 seconds to go. You work out where another one of those defenders are standing, and Volps will flash off one angle, maybe trying to just disguise where he's going to push from. Nade will find a kill, bringing us back into a 2v3, but it is all down to Nade now. Dots, he'll step on in, he'll go to get the case down, but this looks like it should be another successful attacking round from w7m.
A 1v3 post. Chance of victory low. Nade stalled out by the Lion scan and now progresses forward, and you can see the crossfires established by w7m ready to pounce as he progresses forward. Well, that was a bold swing from Volps. Does that give Nade an opening? Palu on the cross, Dots low on sight. Nade needs to try and break it. Shoulder peek, info gained, but doesn't know of Palu's position on the window, who gets the kill and secures the round for w7m.
I think the thing you got to think about there, it's Palu. Where is he going to be? He's going to be in a window. That's what you should expect in a post plan.
Yeah.
So I know he looked the other way. Maybe he thought that they were going, oh, well, while you're stuck on this fight by the player on wall, we're going to go through the rotate and try flank you. But it is, you got to know your opposition. It's Palu, he'll be on piano wall. But W7M, they win another round. They've got a 4-1 lead here on attack on Chalet. And now we enter the final round before the side swap. FURIA with a ton of work to do here if they want to battle their way back. But you keep saying, you can't really rule FURIA out of any game until it's over.
Yeah, absolutely not. And you think about the kind of ferocity that they can bring on a Chalet attack, right? But even a 5-1 is salvageable. They're probably one of the few teams where in that kind of position, you'd still give them a glimmer of hope. Now, the chances are still low, don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted, but much more possible than most teams. So this round then critical. Can FURIA at least establish a semblance of a foundation, at least 2 rounds and a half? It's over to bar games for this concluding round. And again, I'm liking the versatility here from W7M. They're going to bring triple specialist drones for this particular round. Twitch, Brava, and Flores. So there's a massive, massive imperative for them to deal with all of this utility. I wonder where the catch is situated from Felipox. I presume it's for the mez hold above. That would be where it's more classically used. Can also be for backstore as well for late round aid, whoever's playing that particular position, but keen to see how it goes. W7M did a very, very nice job in clearing this out last time. FURIA had a very expansive roam. I mean, it was what, a 3v5 and they still had 2 players bedroom side, so I don't know if they'll look to consolidate more a little bit this time around on defense.
I think they gotta just play to their strengths, which have not really been doing. JV92, he gets distracted by utility being tossed in, and in the blink of an eye, you said it would be a 5v3. It's already a 5v3 with just a minute gone. He heard the utility being tossed, he looked to see what was going on, and in the blink of an eye, they vaulted in and got the kill. Now, Loban will be put into DBNO. I think that was one of the C4s from below, well, the only C4 that they had in the back pocket. At this point, you'll drone things out, you'll try to work out whether or not you can go for that res, but at this point, KZ does not want to swing. Dots will go get Loban back on his feet, and these are really important moments on the round. Nade will hold that hatch from below, so if they step too far this direction, he'll be able to find potentially another kill on the round. But at this point, W7M, momentum strongly in their favor. They've still got 6 drones that they can utilize to get a ton of information, plus those specialty ones. They are in really, really good spot as things stand.
Critical that they just don't throw away picks untraded. That's really the only way this round unravels. Minute on the clock. And FURIA not being given the opportunity to aggress. Felipox may be able to find one, but it's good shoulder pick from Volps to bait out that particular information, and now they can cut off that particular player. Dots with Diffuser going for the kill. It's aggressive from W7M, but controlled in such a manner that, ooh, it might not unravel. As I say that though, Felipox lands a nice shot. Diffuser immediately recovered. 30 seconds on the clock. If Felipox finds a second, well, it could be big, but he gets caught.
He got just a little distracted by the earlier fight, and now Nade has it all to do playing on the bomb chassis directly beneath the hatch. Should get 1 kill, and we'll find it. 1 versus 3 now, but you know exactly where he is, and they will just throw everything at that problem. And W7M with a 5-1 attacking half here on Chalet. At the side swap, they're just 2 rounds in regulation away from taking the opening map of this series. Honestly, it's almost as close to a perfect a half as you can get.
How's your Portuguese, Gibson? Any good?
I got married there a few months ago, and all I know how to say is hello, thank you, and go whatever team name you want to say. So, Vi FURIA, Vi W7M, or W7m, I should say. I'm going to put that Ian Chambers flair on it. Not quite as good in the Irish accent as it compared to Ian's.
Alrighty then, second half bans employed. Castle, Azami, Blitz, Deimos. Basement round 1 for this defensive effort from W7M to close this one out potentially in comprehensive fashion. But FURIA 1-5, well, synonymous with being able to make these comebacks work. So we'll see how they go. Unfortunately for them though, couple of weak links at the moment. I mean, sure, JV92 can post numbers, but KZ for me stands out 1-6. He can be such a godsend for this roster. If he fires up, it could be a massive game changer, but at the moment, he's been really well nullified by w7m.
Well, JV92 is your entry. He's going 0-5. I know it's defense is a little bit different. And then KZ, as I like to say, is like the best backup player in the world. He gets so many trades whenever his entry falls. He's got 1 kill. So he's basically, I don't even know if that kill was a trade. So at this point in time, the sharpest point of the dagger for FURIA has been completely doled out by w7m. But I want to go back to what you said. On attack on a map like Chalet, FURIA can bring so much pressure and so much intensity, and they need to do it or this game will be over in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, presuming they haven't given up mentally themselves and woven the white flag internally for this map, there's every chance they can bring it back, and I'm almost certain that they'll still have that belief. It's one of their strong points. That being said, though, JV92 falls 0-6, primary hard breach dead.
Primary hard breach and one of your best gunners has fallen as JV92. I can't remember a time I have seen him have a game as ineffective as this one has been so far. So what does that do? Well, as you said, it's your primary hard breach gone. You've only got 1 can opener left to utilize, but look where Herds is. Ash is already down the bottom blue. His position's been revealed. He will find 1. So he's stepping up now. The former entry is working with KZ, and then he finds another. But look at this, w7m beginning to fight back. A little bit of damage done on the Philippe boxes. Friendly fire will occur, and that could be the difference as he is then put into DBNO status. So, Herds with it all to do. All that Clash needs to do is keep Herds busy for long enough for the cover to come in, and that's going to be Dots who gets the kill.
It started to look good for FURIA until it wasn't. Map point, w7m. 5 of them, in fact, did not have a 6-1 lead on the bingo card at any point in this series for these 2 teams, regardless of who was in the lead. Thought it would be very, very close and competitive, but map 1 anything but currently.
I think all we can do is praise w7m. Like, they have played this game
insane
so well.
Yeah.
If you can hold JV92 to 0-6, you're going to have one hell of a chance. The best player statistically for FURIA right now is Philippe Box, your IGL. Not the player that you'd be expecting to leading the way when it comes to frags, but then you turn your attention over to w7m. Dodez, 9, and he's got 9 kills. Palu has got 7 of his own. Loban has got 6. They've done such a good job of just finding those kills and making those gunfights into their favor. So, at this point, are FURIA going to begin waving the white flag, or do you see the comeback? Honestly, I don't see it happening. You got to be perfect 5 times. w7m only need to win once.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them quote-unquote giving up, but I just don't see them winning this map.
Yeah.
Like, they're simply being outclassed at the moment, and it's by a pretty significant margin, unfortunately, for them. Bedroom in play for this particular round. The Sense elected to be brought here by the attack, so we'll see what kind of value those ROUs are able to provide in the late round for coverage.
So I know I've seen something that's similar done in the past, where you get the Sens and you go for that plant on the main double window. You sense off that 90 rotate to cause a bit of a problem for the team. Ash currently down below.
Yeah, this will be for the solar clear onto Palu.
I think it's going to be, look, the players on the stairs.
They'll flush it out with the grenade, probably. It's all about timing, though. The timing, it's a really small window.
It used to be a lot easier when you could cook nades, right? It's a bit more difficult than it used to be. JV92 will start throwing out that utility burn. There's the stun. The C4 will be thrown as a rebuttal. Nothing's going to land. There's the nade.
He survived.
He's still alive, but the nade from Philippe Box will get it done. And now maybe FURIA can start to get to work a little.
Good pick. A lot of utility invested. Palu, credit to him, was able to soak up a lot of it and not give away his life for free. Dots in the meantime as well was taken low on Clash, and that means he'll be very vulnerable to any slight reposition or misposition. If he gets caught, a shot to the foot should be enough to drop him. Patience though from FURIA at the moment, just anticipating some re-aggression perhaps from w7m to try and bring it back to a 4 versus 4, but w7m electing not to really give that opportunity. And so we'll see what FURIA elects now to go for. Diffuser in the hands of Nade. He's double window, perhaps the swing in facilitated by that sense.
And you can just see that there is a player holding the rotate, so if Nade tries to go in too early before that sentence is deployed, you're going to be in a world of pain. Another double dash of Nades. Now that sentence will go off, but it's just a bit of bait for now, trying to force Dodez to push, and that's exactly what happens. So plan is almost effective, but the case is going to be cold as FURIA drop it below double window. So you got to go down in towards pit if you want to pick that one up. Dots, as you said, still one shot away, but 30 seconds left. Time is the enemy for FURIA.
Yeah, Solar not the play, so it's the pivot from FURIA. Double window plant, essentially their only option now. Can Dots on low HP deny this, or do they rotate the kid elsewhere? I think they're flipping over. FURIA have gone for plan C in this round, and it's paying dividends. Volps now in the 1v4. The last hope for w7m to close this one out on this match point round. But with it now secured, well, not even needed. Herds to find the pick, and FURIA finally have something positive in their column.
Well, that's one rung of the ladder climb, just 5 more that you gotta get up if you want to go to overtime in this matchup. But that was much better. They brought a lot of utility, but to give them credit, they used almost everything they had. You saw the clear that they had for Palu on those stairs over by Solar. You had the pressure from below so they couldn't rotate off the other way because the Ash Charge created the verticality. You get rid of that player. Well, once you control Solar, it gives you a better access. It means that no defender is really going to be able to retake that position. It means the player on double windows only got one real angle to worry about. You use the stands to bait a kill. All in all, really effective attack from FURIA. But 4 more still needed as we will change our sights, and this time it looks like we're going to kitchen.
Looking like the sense will be employed again here from the attack, and again, much like the prior side, can be a key tool in helping get that plant down. I mean, sometimes you see it through the dining drone hole, for instance, probably the most common example. It can be used to cut off some locations through fireplace as well for some map control. We could even see it employed above to cut off some of those crosses as well. So pretty versatile tool. And in combination with some of the crowd control on offer like that Ying and Grim, it can be a difference maker. Speaking of, Dots, he's dead. The clash falling in the first 5 seconds of this action phase.
If you could pick one player to get rid of at the start of the round, that clash is going to be high on that priority list as KZ will find the openers. I think it was either a clash spawn peak or clash was just rotating, but it was up by that bathroom window. And now another kill's been found, so Herds will get one of his own. KZ falls at the hands of Loban as pressure is starting to go in, but another good early round for FURIA. They've got the number advantage. They've only got 2 drones, though, left to use their disposal, so their information gathering is going to be solely on Herds and whatever you can find out with JV92 using those Grimbees. But you're really down on the information game, and that does, in effect, level the sides up just a little bit.
Very cheeky position here from Volps. Does he get cleared? I think his legs are tucked. Herds. Does he have the game sense to check it? Unlikely, but Philippox will. And with that, FURIA now with a 4-2 advantage. Plenty of time to work with. It'll take a miracle, really, from this position for Loban and Palu to combine for the clutch.
Philippox needs to have a trade available, and Herds will jump in, so he was just baiting that swing. It's a double on the round from Herds as leaves it all down to Palu, but Philippox finds the kill, and that's one more rung climbed as they get closer and closer to parity. But like I said, all the good work done by w7m still means 1 round, and they've taken the map.
And we're seeing some animation as well from FURIA for what feels like maybe the first time on this map. They've been pretty stone cold and composed so far, but now that they're building a little bit of momentum, I can feel that confidence starting to exude. I can feel it all the way from here, and it just does cast a bit of doubt in the minds of w7m, and it's a stark reminder that FURIA are never to be discounted until you land that final blow. Speaking of final, Final bans, Clash, Ying.
Just while that was going on as well, I was watching the players and the player cams. There was a conversation going on between Philippebox and Herds.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
yeah.
are they talking about something they've seen? Maybe they're thinking, yes, JV92 is our entry, but Herds, maybe because you're having the much more effective game, maybe we need you to step up into that role. Either way, it is good to see them do some form of problem solving themselves before the round starts.
Yeah, for sure. Their minds are very much still in this game. They have not checked out.
Look at Fleetbox stat line, by the way. He is having himself a game for an IGL.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been playing operators that have been pretty critical in terms of utility as well. So, just keeping things interesting. FURIA smelling blood in the water at the moment. w7m trying to stem the bleeding.
Looking at this setup here from w7m, again, they're going to toss out that FNAT to give information on if they push in through Trophy or if they want to push in from that Solarium side. On the other side of the coin, FURIA have put JV92 onto the Blackbeard. And then you were wondering, would we see a change of operator from Herds? Well, he's going to switch over to the Ace, and that was the operator we'd seen JV92 taking a few times, so they have changed up that lineup, and maybe that was a result of the conversation that we'd seen.
Yeah, potentially. Try and give JV92 the Blackbeard for survivability, and Herds the Ace.
That was an NA nade, or NA drone.
I missed it, well, fortunately I missed it.
Down there. he went to throw it onto the balcony and he missed.
Ugh.
You'd never get that in APAC or Europe. It's an NA thing, but they've done it in Brazil.
So lurk below from Herds elected to open up backstore early, which is typical. And now he sits and waits for a defender to go lurking to find him. So some cat and mouse on offer here in the early phase of this round. I don't know how eager the defense will be on biting this, at least for now. Going in dark down below can be very challenging on Chalet. There's so many positions for the attack to lurk.
It looks like they're waiting on a rotate at this point in time, or they think that there is a lurk presence downstairs, as you pointed out. It's the way going. Nade will find the opener as Dodez will fall. Dodez, of course, 9 and 6, having himself an impressive performance on Chalet, but he will have nothing else to say on this map. Only positive is, with it being the Frost, you go down early, your utility will have been utilized already. It's kind of, you set it down and you play the round as things stand. Main thing is, you got to get on the cameras, and with the fact that you've got Valk, Dodez can get tons of valuable information. With no IQ on the board, there's no real way for FURIA to find out where those cameras are.
Valk can triple bulletproof camera. He'll be critical later on in the round. In the meantime, Herds has also fallen. Again, his utility probably expended to the extent that is required on this particular side, but it's one less gun and the advantage forfeited for the attack.
Nade's going to sprint on in. He's going to get an engagement. You can see a player just around the corner, and somehow Nade's going to win that one with a headshot. Absolutely no right to take him down, but Volps will ensure this game remains with some parity. The fact is, though, Nade will get another one. It's a triple on the round for him. You know that Volps was roaming around in basement, but he's repositioned. He's going to whiff as he tosses the C4. JV92 down to 1 HP, but Volps in a tough spot. He's going to whip out the Deagle, but it's a 1 versus 1. Philippebox with a map in his hands, trying to keep them inside the game. He's fighting with Dots, who's going to go prone behind the billiards table. It's a dangerous dance indeed. 2 seconds to go. You gotta win this. He gets the... Was it a down or would he go prone? Either way, w7m takes Chalet.
I think he was just able to stay alive, playing the dance of death there on that match point round. In doing so, survives on time, and w7m surviving the threat that FURIA were posing as that map concluded. 7-3 in the end. FURIA will no doubt be disappointed with how things turned out, and elation on the other side for w7m, who played some really clean siege for the vast majority of Chalet.
The big thing, though, is the next map is Border. A map that, as player for Enterprise said himself, is a map that FURIA have a brilliant winning streak currently on. However, it did look like there were weaknesses on that map yesterday against Enterprise for FURIA. You gotta feel like a team like w7m, if they get themselves into the positions that Enterprise got themselves into yesterday, they will take that map. So this is by no means any foregone conclusion that FURIA will force a third map.
Still expecting 3?
I'd love it. It's the last game of the day.
3. Yeah, absolutely. I would love 3 as well. And I think FURIA showed enough resilience there towards the end, and they didn't mentally check out, that I'm still confident they'll go behind the scenes. They'll rejuvenate, maybe have a quick chat, what went wrong, what can they improve, and formulate a plan that could still be good enough to take down w7m ultimately in this series.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think it was just those early game picks for w7m on attack, just to be able to herd FURIA into positions, but they do get the game over in the end. It looked like for a while FURIA might be about to claw it back, even in that last round in the 1v1. It almost looked like we got there, but that's map number 1 in the books, so I think it's about time we jump into a quick break, and when we come back, we will be there for Border, FURIA versus w7m. Do not go anywhere. Well, one map is done, but it's yet to be determined whether this is the halfway point in this game or we're just through a third. We're going to Border next, Guz, and that's a map where, as we were talking about, FURIA have had lots of success over the course of the last 12 months, and well, they're going to need to find that success one more time just to stay alive here at EWC.
Yeah, map 1 was, unfortunately for FURIA, a bit of a slow start. They took a long while to find their footing back on Chalet, and by the time they did, all it took was one snappy round from w7m to be the final blow. So yeah, very intrigued to see how they respond then in map 2. I think for me, the biggest test was, does FURIA check out of map 1? The answer in the end, no. They were able to, show some signs. w7m looked very, 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 very good though. Especially on those initial attacks. They were completely dictating where FURIA played, clearing them with ease, and there's not too many teams in the world where you can say that.
No, they just understood how Chalet flowed to perfection, and they'd clearly done their VOD review on what FURIA liked to do. But the biggest surprise I had was, if there was any region where you don't expect a team to start off slow on LAN, it's going to be Brazil. And if there was any team that you expected to kick things off the right way, it would be FURIA. So for them, they lost that game really in the opening 3-4 rounds because of how slow they were out of the trap. So they need to turn things around as we get ready to go to Border. At this point though, you can see very different mindsets. All of the FURIA guys, they're at their desks, they're talking through the headset, but we've got ourselves a little team huddle going on with w7m. As one thing I will say is they always seem like a really tight-knit group. Igor prefers to get the team in close around them to have those pre-game talks, whereas it does look like on the other side of the coin, or the other side, I should say, sorry, Igor, I used the wrong coach name, that's my bad.
Norris.
I apologize, but you know what I mean. It's one coach is taking the mindset they're talking to the team through the headset. The other one, it's a really tight-knit group.
Yeah, and probably, the first time in the last hour, not able to actually hear what he's saying. Very, very vocal over the course of that first map, and set the tone that they were going to try and bully FURIA out of the server. And to be fair, for the large majority of Chalet, that was exactly the case. It seems now that w7m are going to get the hurry up from the admins. The final strats being handed out, as it's time to prepare for map number 2. Predictions, thoughts, Gibson? Is this going to be a 3-mapper? Is it still too hard to call? I'm probably falling into that camp, right? I don't know how you could predict it from here.
I want to will a 3-mapper into existence because I just want to see more of this matchup, but I do think that this is not going to be a game like the last one. I think that even if FURIA win this, you're looking at like a 7-5, 7-4. I think that this will be a much tighter affair, and the thing is, you just have to look to yesterday if you're w7m to work out how FURIA are going to play this map. And a team from the APAC region, from Oceania, they basically took them right to the brink on this map, and they did it by, I don't want to use the words, cheesing up some attacks, but they didn't go with a conventional style of attack against FURIA, and FURIA really struggled.
Well, headsets on. Only a moment away now from jumping in to map number 2 between the two titans of Brazil. Unfortunately, their brethren in FaZe, the third, the big brother really, probably on top of these two, many would have thought, knocked out back on the A stream earlier today against G2. Did not have that on my bingo card. I thought G2 would do well, but knocking out FaZe is pretty insane.
Well, the fact that both of those teams found themselves in the lower bracket in the first place is a bit of a surprise to me.
How have any of these teams, any of the 4, including these two, found themselves in the lower bracket so soon?
It's insane. Yes, best of ones lead to things like that happening. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to maybe see FURIA and FaZe run it back once more to see the two twins going head to head. But this game right now for w7m, they win this map. They will progress, they will send w7m home, and maybe that hunt that Palu has been having for silverware over the last few years could potentially be about to end. But Banfei is going to get things underway on a map like Border. What are you expecting to see? Obviously, Azami and Deimos will be moved because Deimos has such a great impact for both of these teams. But really, I don't really know where we're going to go with the second ones.
Yeah. Don't want to make too many bold predictions. Border's the kind of map where it can be a little bit more open in that regard. Maybe something like a mirror Ying combination would be sufficient. And yeah, I mean, completely missed the mark. That's why I don't bother on Border most of the time. Smoke Nomad to follow up. Smoke a powerful tool in denying things like fast hits archives, fast hits front door for workshop, etc. So yeah, don't mind that ban. And then Nomad, well, that's going to aid w7m re-aggressing quite a bit through the mid to late round.
Well, the ban phase is done. We're jumping over to the prep phase here on Border as the game is about to begin. Looking at it from the early stages, the defensive lineup, when Mira's available on a map like this, you're going to take her. Clash, of course, being brought by Vulps as well. But Armory Lockers, this is one of the sites that, funny enough, Enterprise had most of their success attacking.
Yeah, I wonder how many learnings FURIA maybe took away from that particular map. I think probably, to be honest, the biggest differential compared to this match was they were taking on an OS team on the other side of the world, and the meta was very different. They're not going to have the same issues here with w7m, right? Again, it's a lot more about just the 1%ers and execution, so...
Well, it's like that argument you talk about. Some teams are just better sparring partners for others, so even though you might think one team is superior, the matchup just might not necessarily suit them. w7m will be a completely different team, you know, and that might just suit FURIA here on Border. But early days, they will deal with one of those mirror windows. Ash will work. Jeez, I went very Irish there for a second, then I windows. That's one of the most colloquial terms I've used in a while. But early stages for FURIA, they've got plenty of drones to work with. They're getting into those standard positions. Nothing really surprised. Loban will play by break room, where teams like to make a little bit of a fortification. And with the FNAT on the door, it just makes Loban that little bit more difficult to clear.
Mine primed.
Loban going searching a little bit, maybe if there's any counter information that he needs to deal with. FURIA getting stalled out. Elsewhere, they Palu falls. Herds gets that one, and the aggression from Loban tamed by a JV92 that had a quiet Chalet, and he'll be looking to find some form here on Border, but all signs positive for the opening phase of the map for FURIA.
You've got control now of Rafters up above waiting room, as Herds will find a double on the round. That's the vend of Vulps in this one, so you've lost the clash as well, with only really 2 defenders left alive, and both of them isolated, one on either side. Dots will find a kill with Tachanka. Does get down in return, so it's only Doda's left alive. Doesn't have a C4, takes the beepers, but KZ will find the kill, and FURIA kick things off. They lead in the series for the first time.
Yeah, it didn't quite capture. I was looking across at the overhead how the opening kill went in favor there of FURIA, but another example of the snowball effect. w7m sense that they're now in a really weak position, immediately try to find a snappy trade on that top east exit. Denied by FURIA, good read and denial, and then they're just able to control the round from there.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Moving on now to the second round. At this point, w7m will elect to change sites, as Bathroom is where we're going to go this time around. With Mira in play, what you usually expect to happen is Dots will play above, over and in and around Fountain and Security. Basically, what you want to do is make top floor control really difficult to garner. Now, if you want to play that Mira inside of Fountain, it's so important that you keep office control as well, because you can only play there as long as you control office and CCTV. The minute you lose one of those positions, you can't play behind that Mira window anymore. So it's really important that w7m have their communication and their angles on point in that top floor. One great way to deal with positions like that pretty quickly is going to be the Monty. But if I see Glass, I see Capital, I see Monty, my first thought is we might just be about to see a rush or a window execute.
Yeah, it could certainly be the case. Again, with that smoke band out, it should fortify and bolster that particular play style. Now you go searching over towards Customs, and Loban gets caught in a pinch. JV92 aiding the Monty from Passport. Yellow ping information, Nade catching one more, but the kill not quite being found ultimately by FURIA, but the pacing and the intensity so far here on Border has probably at this point already far surpassed what we saw on Chalet.
Funny because this is so different to what we saw yesterday in this map against Enterprise because of the way they set up on defense, but Volps, he'll place down that Clash Shield, waiting for Monty to finally open up that castle, but as it stands, you're seeing this defense peel back and peel back and peel back because of the aggression from FURIA in the early stages. 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock at this point, just over that. You've only got 4 drones left to work with. You know that the mirror window is going to be completely vacant. You might be about to get a kill on the Fountain. There's a double swing now as Palu will level the sides at 4 apiece, and well, not quite having full lines of sight in a position offers them that early pick, and maybe we have another vital gunfight here. It looks like they drop down the hatch, and Dots will drop JV92 out of the lobby with that C4 from below, but it's still a 3v3.
Close and competitive then in the second round. 2 players though on the side of defense, isolated workshop side of the map, exposed to the Vert and KZ to capitalize. Dots is still in a similar position. Can he still have impact? Volps closer to sight on the Clash can have some protection if he sets it up in time. But with 50 seconds on the clock, that's quite a bit for FURIA to work with.
Dots is really low as well. He's taken a beating so far in this round. The C4, as we know, both of them have been used, so all w7m have to work with now is the ammo in their guns. Nade with a Monty, he's got the rotate in the side, he can essentially go for this plant, but you've got to be wary about the fact that Clash is in that position. Glaz will look to provide some support. Dots is waiting for a rotate through Office if it could potentially come, but I don't know if I necessarily like this fight. 13 seconds to go. Now I like it. KZ gets the kill on the Dots. They got to get the kill on the Clash, and they'll get it. Nade with a knife. And FURIA 2-0 to the good. And this is the loudest that this roster has been all day.
Yeah, very vocal. They know that they're applying the heat here early on map 2. 2-0 lead. And w7m already calling their tactical time out. Norris, as he always does, gets with eye level on the team and discussing what is going wrong early on here, not wanting to risk a spiral. I love this proactive decision. So many teams will leave their tactical too late. Many may say that this tactical is too early, but it could just be the spark that brings them back into contention.
Funny enough, I call these early timeouts a twister timeout. Obviously, the coach of Secret, he's known for taking timeouts really early in a game if he doesn't like what he's seen. And funny enough, coming from the exact same region as both of these two teams, but they're basically saying we don't want FURIA to continue to build this momentum. There's still 4 rounds on defense, so it's early enough that you can really turn the tide of this game. I have nothing against that timeout. I think it could be a very good thing. But as always, it's vitally important that FURIA are not allowed to win this round. If you take your time out and the opposition win that round, that is a mental warfare win.
Tactical timeout concluded as we prepare for the 3rd round of Border. It's workshop in play, I believe. And so we'll see if that can be a difference maker for w7m. I mean, typically it's not the strongest of particular objectives here on Border, but they're all pretty open and do offer an opportunity for defense to find some advantages. Full repick from FURIA. They've sacked 4 drones in this round to gain information, sensing that they want to go for something different in this round.
Looking at what the switches have brought into play, right? You've got KZ now with those extra drones on Flores. Those Roteros can be used to pop those Goyos really early, which will, you know, get rid of a lot of the time delay that's being brought in this one. Dodes, of course, you can get rid of those gadgets as well by just throwing a drone through them. But the thing is, with you said earlier, you thought maybe we might see a Ying ban. FURIA have brought Ying a few times now in this game just because of how effective an operator that Ying can be when it comes to those executes. Nade the exact same on Capitao. I think that in the early stages, you'll see FURIA poke and prod to work out which of the two sites is more vulnerable. They've got a really good lineup for attacking either or.
Patience from FURIA then, early in this round. May look to limit test a couple of different positions, as you are alluding to. Shotgun in hand. Is an archives hit, or objective rather, not down below as I previously mentioned, so apologies for that, but currently Candela's being cooked. What's the follow-up like from FURIA? Distracted elsewhere is Herds. Engagement with Loban, who's yet to find a kill here on defense. Herds thinks better of it, calculated to go elsewhere, where the team is set up for a break clear. Candelas are popping over towards archives, but I think it's smoke and mirrors at the moment from FURIA.
Yeah, toss some Candelas in, maybe try to get some utility with the 2 C4s in the back pocket of W7M. You want to try bait them out early, which allows you to go for that plant a little bit later on. As you said, Herds didn't get the better of that fight with Loban earlier, so falling back now, repositioning as they start to take some pressure over by East Stairs. Red Ping, they know exactly where the player inside of Fountain is at this stage, but Dodez still has a stronghold inside of CCTV. And it's really important that Herds can help his team clear that position. If you're not alive to the threat that that player can be, it can cause some problems. An early game trade as Dots and Nade will get rid of each other. Dodez does step up and get a kill on KZ. The trade isn't going to fall back the other way, and that's advantage W7M with 30 seconds, 35 seconds to go.
Could this be the first round for W7M on border? It looks increasingly likely. FURIA desperately trying to find something back, but Dodez responds with his double in the round. Player prone Fountain, but pops up. That's Loban and leaves Felipox in a 1v3. He'll be desperate with the DMR to continue this flawless run, but it's not enough. And off the back of that tack, W7M are on the board.
Not going to be as loud this time after that round win from W7M because
bit more reserved.
When you're not winning, it's a lot harder to be that loud in the matchup. But they took their tack time out, they won the round, it's job done. You're now one round behind with a couple more to go. We're going to see that next ban phase, which is usually the more reactionary of the two. Don't really think FURIA have used anything too much as a crutch in this game, so they'll get rid of the Ying. Fenrir on the other side, which, as we saw earlier, a lot of usage of Fenrir and those FNATs to allow the player to play safely inside a break room. So what you're trying to do is make security easier to take when we eventually go back to that site, because we should see it one more time before that side swap.
Alrighty, let's jump in then. Round number 4, and it is indeed Workshop on this occasion. What do we see FURIA elect for? Do they want to map clear, avoid that, go direct? We've seen variations of both practically through this series thus far. We talked about the Fenrir before, and that maybe alleviated the likes of the Twitch and the Bravo to get selected. That being said, Felipox picks Twitch off the rip, and I thought that would be to counter Mirror, but elects to jump off. And instead we see FURIA pivot to double shield plus Lion. That's pointing towards some direct aggression. Will that be the case? Only time will tell. Keep in mind, defense, Dodez on Oryx, so there is clash counter available. Oh, pardon me, shield counter available.
You see that a lot though, right? Where teams won't use the double shield in the opening few rounds because you don't want the defenders to ban it away. And then once you get past that checkpoint, now you can use it for the next 3 rounds in the game if it's successful for the side. It's a little game of chess that you see from time to time. KZ, 3-1 so far. I think it's still important to note JV92 still kind of failure to launch in this one. Only 1 kill through the opening 3 rounds. But early stages, Fleetbox doesn't have the shield though. He's got the pistol at the ready. Finally, he will switch over. And it's going to be a 3-2-1 go. Smoke off the foothold, sprint around the corner. get the opening kill, and that is clean. Another one should quickly follow as the Mira will flee, and it's a 5 versus 1. That is about as crisp and as clean of an opening round that you're going to see. And now, let one player go. Loban does not want to give away his position just yet. Will that come back to work in his favor, or will you feel that maybe the opportunity was there to be taken? He's going to wait for the fleet. Oh, they've seen him. They know where he is. Round's done.
4 kills within a minute, and the 5th following shortly after. FURIA pounce back, and I think they'll be pretty pleased with that response. And again, critical to remember, w7m proc that timeout very, very early after round 2. That's no longer a fallback for them to wrangle back momentum in the match.
Did you see the way they executed that first phase as well? So Philippe Box kept the shield on his back, ran up the stairs to make as little noise as possible until they got the player in Fountain and Office isolated. Once everyone was in position, it was 3, 2, 1, go. He sprints through the door, he smokes off the footholes so he can face the player in towards Fountain successfully. Thankfully, Nade got that kill, so he didn't need to, but then Mira fell back. It was such a crisp execute, and it's the whole thing, the double shields working perfectly in the favor of FURIA. That time, I saw the Chalet for a second. I was going, yeah, that might just be an auto pick whenever you're waiting for the for the round to start. But they're going to change the lineup a little bit. JV's going to switch over to the Zero, and you know, I love Zero as an operator on a map like Border where there's so many great places to hide some of those cameras. You can feed information, and just as I say that again, it's going to be Ash for JV92. So on the traditional entry operator, let's see if JV92 can really kick off his best of 3 here.
So early drone work then from FURIA in this 5th round. The pacing to once again slow down. And given the lineup in play, that does make logical sense. Now Herds is in Archives. So to Loban on the other side of almost catches the timing. Loban sprinting across on a shoulder peek in response, but some ground taken now by FURIA. Dodes in support, off the side. Loban with a late reinforcement to fortify his position.
Yeah, make sure that no pressure can come from that 90 side, and Nade was tossed, but you'll see one of those Goyos popped, which will slow down the push for about 20 seconds from now. So still pressure inside of Fountain. Tubarao with that DMR from Loban. He can, if he hears footsteps, he can slow them down by throwing the utility out, you know, as you freeze them in place in essence. But you know where one of those defenders are. You've got JV92 holding that cutoff over by Office in case they try to flee that spot. But for now, it looks like they're happy to just hold with 1.5 minutes to go.
Nitro Cell then onto Herds, finds its mark. And losing the IQ may now mean that finding some utility will be a little bit more of a challenge, although it shouldn't be too much of a problem outside of any pre-placed Nitro Cells. Parley though to double down. And so w7m responding nicely. Just under 1 minute to go and a 2v4 not looking favorable for FURIA, but Nade keeps it in the realm of possibility by dropping Loban.
Those two silhouettes. Palu still not far away on the stairs as Volps will get a kill with the shotgun. It's all down to Nade now. One of the best attributes that he has is the survivability, but it's going to be a tough ask to survive this round. 30 seconds to go. Selma will open up the rotate down to Workshop if he elects to do so, but he's still looking to find the kill on the flank. Stepping through the BP, that'll give away his position as the defender will once again push on into Office as this game of Ring Around the Rosie will continue. 14 seconds. Nade is just trying to get his one at this point, but he's not going to be able to win this from this position as Dots will get the kill and w7m claw it back to 3-2.
Norris getting vocal again. As the seesaw continues, this is much more akin to what we expected in terms of what we discussed pre-match. We didn't get much of that on Chalet, but here on Border, it's becoming increasingly difficult to separate the two. Another relatively close round with just a ton of really quick trades, which is the hallmark of this region and these two teams. Final round of the half though. Do we see w7m even out the scoreline, or FURIA perhaps extend their lead? Back on the top floor we go once more. Mirror still in play. The Twitch to counter. It's probably going to be one of the more intriguing battles to see. The Clash also surviving the ban phase and available. And that too might be really good in opening up some more positions for defense to play.
Round is going to begin as we have a full lineup swap from FURIA. JV92 going on to the hard breach, and it's not something I'm averse to. I don't mind your entry player playing a hard breach operator, because once you essentially use that utility, you can just go and be a fragger for the entirety of the rest of the round. But it's just not been effective for FURIA so far, as JV92 has seen players like Philippe Box, like Nade, two players you don't usually see with the highest tally of kills for the team through this point, with 4 and 2 and 6 and 3 respectively. On the defensive side, Dota is on the Frost. That just gives the attackers something to think about if they look to vault through any of the windows or maybe hop over the desk. But big thing for me is, can FURIA win the information game? 7 drones to work with at this point in time. Most people can get some information, but seeing an early push here. They're putting some pressure on. Habana can get rid of those castle barricades, but I think that w7m, they're not going to give up any easy early picks this time around.
So FURIA chipping away at some of this utility from the eastern side. Castle barricades can be dealt with by Habana. Hard breach as well will closely follow. Triple wall leading into office, and that will help put the likes of Volps under pressure if he elects to make a final stand single wall, or perhaps peel back towards the objective and play around the mirror fountain. In the meantime, the Clash has been rotated across, and again, that makes some of these areas more playable and a little less comfortable for the attack. Just spotting out info at the moment. Triple wall will be called out as opened up, and here's the push from attack. Can JV92 somehow beat out the Clash? Well, it's a resounding no, but critically, he still retains his life.
Near a window inside of Fountain gives the attackers something to think about. Herd's down to low HP on the Ash as well. Needs to be careful not to lose his life, as he will go back down to the ground floor and maybe rotate up elsewhere. 50 seconds to go inside the round. Still utility that can be used by the attackers. Those drones are still in a good position, but Palu finds the opener. Lobin with another one, but a quick 1-2. And after that, a 1-2-3, as it's a 3 versus 2 now for FURIA. Looking to take a 4-2 lead. Dodale's to get one, but KZ is there to get the trade. It is Herds and KZ, the old 1-2 punch up against one of the members of the old guard of Liquid in Palu. So he's going to hold that long range angle. One sneeze could be enough to wipe him from the position, and it is going to be a shot. KZ will win it, and it's a little bit more of a roar, as it's a 4-2 half for FURIA.
Clean for FURIA as they maintain intensity in that round, and that probably was one of the closer of the 6. So many trades to the mid-round, and with Palu so low, FURIA just had to ensure that they were clean in their conversion, and they were. And so now we prepare for the additional bans to be played out for the second half. It's Nomad in combination with Ying, and for defense, Azami and Smoke, which interestingly persists as well from that first half.
Thing is though, w7m exceeded on the attack on Chalet. They got 5 attacking rounds. They don't need that many this time just to force over. If they get 5 attacking rounds, this game is over. One of the things that they did really good at Chalet was hold lines of sight, hold rotate cutoffs for FURIA, and pick up those free kills. On Border, it's a map that you still can conceptually do that. It's a little bit easier on the top floor than it is to do on the bottom floor. But I want to know, has FURIA learned their lesson? Are they still going to aggressively roam the way they did? Are they going to get caught out on those rotates? Or will you see them maybe tighten that fist just a little bit? And if they do lose someone, play the trade game much better like we know they can.
Yeah, very intrigued to see if the same dynamics we saw in the first half will transpose themselves into the second. The Amaru, though, for round 7, what kind of impact may that have? Is that indicative of maybe a sandwich hook in combination with the Archives hit? I mean, it's probably the most typical combination. You can use the Osa outside on the Archives Belk. Probably the play, guys, as well for coverage.
It's going to be the sandwich plant, isn't it? So you put all the pressure.
Well, he's got the kit. So.
Yeah, you put all the pressure over by the Archives door and you go in and you plant.
We've seen so many teams do that this event.
Look, if it works, it works. That opening pick will certainly help with it as well. KZ not able to throw any more of those goo mines, one of which you could throw in that sandwich window, which could give you a little bit more information. But again, like, it's one of those things. We think that's what they're going to do, but they're in no panic to do it. You've got to still do a lot of your A, B's, and C's, scout things out, maybe lose a player like they just did, but Dodes keeps the numbers in their favor. And I think just by putting pressure in sections of the map like this, you're going to convince FURIA that sandwich plant is not what you're going to do.
Yeah, Volbs is still lurking outside with that diffuser in hand, but currently on drone. Osa, in the meantime, has set up those Talon shields, and so they're prepped and ready to go in a moment's time for this execute. There's a lot of pressure on the likes of JV92 and Objective to have those yokais in place, but also gun up, ready to go for denial.
There's still one C4 in the hands of Nade as well.
And Diffuser's been rotated, so Amaru is no longer the win con.
Oh, but JV92 gets that kill. Oh my god, he gets the second one. He had literally a millimeter of an angle to get that kill, and he finds it, and that slows down the attack. The case is cold. They know where it is. The C4 rings out, and it's a 3v1 now, as it all falls down to Dodes with the DMR in hand. One logic bomb to be deployed. He'll set it off as he looks to find a kill, but that one play from JV92 has completely derailed the W7M round, and FURIA should be about to take a 5-2 lead.
No, I suspect that W7M will be quite displeased in this particular attack. Of all their attacks played so far in this series, it has been their weakest. We saw them in a position of strength. They went for the pivot to try and consolidate Archives, facilitated by that Talon shield, and it was just a slight misposition in combination with some insane shots from JV92 that were able to completely dislodge this attempt. With that, FURIA are going to extend their lead 5-2 Border, unless Dodes can find 2 more, but only has 10 seconds.
Yeah, he's not going to find the 2 kills. FURIA will not give it away. The case is cold. They just want to get this round over and done with as soon as possible. He creates a 1 versus 1, takes a bit of damage, but JV92 will get that round. FURIA jumping into the lead a little bit further. And it just silent. Oh.
Bit of chit chat between the two, I love it. JV92 pleased with his performance in the prior round, and I think Norris just trying to humble him a little bit and remind him that they are still leading in this series despite the map.
I think looking at what the signals that were given was, I got 2 of them. 2 of them from that angle is basically, now, as I said, my Portuguese isn't great, but body language would tell you that's what he was able to do, but that's more like the JV92 we want to see. But the big one for me, Nade is 8-4. One of the most, you want to say when you talk about support players, one of the most traditional support players that we have inside the game, and he is out-fragging the rest of FURIA.
I guess the question now is, do W7M have the resilience that maybe FURIA weren't quite able to tap into back on Chalet and remain competitive here on this map? Because as close as it has kind of felt in the server round to round, this has the potential now to kind of blow out a bit of a 7-2. W7M used their tactical timeout very early. FURIA are on a roll currently. If this continues on defense for FURIA, they have an opportunity to stamp authority back in this series and set ourselves up for a very entertaining club.
There's no chance FURIA use that timeout anytime soon either. You don't want to give Norris the chance to talk to his team and maybe find something for W7M to work with. And with that being the case, I think for W7M, they need to force the issue. Dodes will walk in. He's got himself that suppressor on the L85 as he looks to creep his way inside of jail, clearing a lot of space. Hatches close, so no way a defender can rotate from that position. There's nobody playing top metal as he creeps his way on up, but he doesn't want to go any further. You don't want to make any noise. Remember we spoke about catching FURIA players on the rotate? That's what he's trying to do.
Oh, KZ actually shoulder picking that position.
Don't lose.
And catches Dodes. It just feels like everything is going right for FURIA at the moment. Or maybe not.
Yeah, just as you say that, JV92 will find another kill. 3v3 now as the FNAT will ring out the position of Dots as he will flee, turning his back to the door. Another FNAT, another stun thrown so he can get back outside that window. But if there's one thing in the favor of W7M, yes, Loban is low, but 2 players for FURIA are as well. Loban will find one of them as JV92 will fall. Almost a spray through the wall, catching one as Palu will also get put into DBNO status. Philippox and Nade with Loban and Dots to deal with. Nade will confirm out another kill as Loban falls, leaving it all down to Dots. DMR in hand, but Nade with another one. Nade is having himself a brilliant game here on the side of FURIA. I think he's up to double digits now.
Match point, FURIA 6-2 the scoreline. And whilst the maps themselves haven't been particularly close, to be fair, round to round it's been somewhat close. FURIA though, just having that additional gear here on board feels like they know the map inside and out, and even though things didn't quite go to plan back on Chalet, here on border, comfort has been found. As you mentioned, Nade, double digits, 11 kills. He's been very impactful.
It's not what you usually see from him, but he's been effective for FURIA. You know, if you're sitting at home as well, or if you're still at the venue and you're playing for Enterprise, you're going to say, well, we were much more effective on this map against FURIA than W7M have been so far. And I think that game yesterday might have just woken FURIA up a little bit to some of their weaknesses here on border. And it's worth pointing out as well, the map advantage does ring true. Like W7M convincingly will win on Chalet. Border in a position now for FURIA to win it convincingly. Clubhouse is looking closer and closer now, and that could be a really good, because that's a map that tests your fundamentals more than any other.
Yeah, absolutely. And may well see a very different tempo where a lot of it's more late round and execute heavy, etc., compared to these kinds of maps where it's mid-round, map control, etc., etc. Top East hold from Philippox with Clash. Castle adding a bit of soak for utility, but that's pretty easily dealt with by Palu on the Habana. Who's had a pretty decent series. Sure, negative here on map 2, but I wouldn't read into that all too much. Can they deal with this top east hold, though, is the question. Is that where they want to spearhead this attack from? Multi-pronged, though, from FURIA. And as I mentioned that, it is actually FURIA to fall first on this spread out defense. Palu does find the first steps up for entry on hard breach. And in the meantime, on the other quarter of the map, Dots with control on Monty.
Loban with Raura as well can close up a lot of space if you get into the right positions, as they'll begin to work on clearing Philippox from this position over on top east. KZ still locked in place over by Fountain as the push begins to come, and there's another knock. 2 players are going to fall, leaving it down to Herds and KZ as W7M starts swinging. Dodes gets another with the one tap. Well, can we call it a one tap when he took about 30 attempts at it? They do win the round anyway. W7M close the gap just a little bit, but still FURIA remain on map point.
So 6-3 and an additional ban phase will play out for this next round and the remaining second half in regulation. I do wonder what these bans will end up being. Perhaps the Clash, we see quite a bit of it. If not, maybe Mirror. On the side of attack, I think there's probably a little bit more versatility in what they look to strike down. I guess maybe even Habana to bolster the castle. We've seen that played out quite a lot, but again, such is the nature of Border, it's very varied in that instance, and so it will end up being the Dockerby Alla combination. W7M though, they need to win the next 3 straight, no tactical timeout in pocket. Will that just be a one-off, a blimp on the radar? And can FURIA maybe perhaps just close this out in a confident fashion? Let's wait and see.
If we get to 6-4, is that the point where FURIA might consider using their tactical timeout? Because in doing so, you're also giving the opportunity to Norris to talk to the team as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I mean, double-edged sword,
yeah.
right? But I think you back yourself in with your coaching ability to outread your opponent. Let's wait and see, though. 10th round. Can FURIA close this out? Club on the other side, again, as we've kind of alluded to, going to play out in a very different way and should hopefully be the closest of the 3 maps in this particular series as we prepare for Armory. And it's an extension from FURIA as anticipated, looking to contest as much of this map as possible. As well, the Fenrir sneaking through the ban phase. I think we saw that banned out as the responsive ban back in the first half, and that's going to aid in countering this map entry quite a bit and make it a challenge for W7M.
So you look at the lineup being brought by W7M. Dots will be on the shield once more as he looks to create a little bit of pressure onto the side of FURIA. You feel like the opening pick in this game in Border has been vitally important for both of these sides as Dots will just start opening up some space. You know, usually you'll have somebody in and around top east that you want to deal with, but Volps will find the opener and another one, a quick double. And just like that, W7M with a massive amount of advantage inside this round. You've dealt with Philippox, you've dealt with Nade. There's just 3 players standing.
Yeah, some way able to just brute force that position, top east, unlocking the round massively for W7M. Volps is low, but I don't think that's worthy of the trade. And elsewhere, Dodes falls to the Claymore. With that, a 6-4 scoreline impending in favor of W7M for this particular round. Barring a clutch, barring essentially a miracle, but a miracle it will not be. W7M flawlessly taking the round.
Feeling it.
Yeah.
W7M putting the pressure on at this point, and they're just 2 rounds away. Looks like Igor has not called that timeout. FURIA happy still with where the situation they find themselves in.
I guess they wait for the 6-5 if it eventuates, right?
Yeah, look, I guess you still got to trust the team that you have. You got to trust the plan that you want to execute. But every single round that W7M have found success on, it's been off the back of early opening kills, quick ones, quick 1-2 punches, leaving FURIA basically fighting with one hand behind their back for the rest of the round. And if you do that against a team like W7M, they're going to punish you.
The Maestro in play for round number 11. And so Brava in response from W7M. The Twitch available. We'll see if that's selected into the mirror and how hard W7M want to counter pick into this defense. Keeping in mind they can't make too many compromises. They need explosives as well to deal with that castle. Important to note too that in that preparation phase, W7M sacrificing 4 drones. Will that come back to bite them later on in this action phase?
One thing is they have a direct counter to Philippox's Maestro. They've got Brava. They can steal some of those cameras away. 1 BP as well that they can utilize if they can get the drone into the position that they need to. If I'm FURIA, I'm stepping back just a little bit in the opening minute of this round. Don't give the early kill away. And just as I say that, we have our first fight in Angers. Volps almost finds an opening kill inside this round.
Well, he had an explosive last round over towards top east. I believe got the opening 2K. Really opened things up decisively for W7M. And the map control that they obtained off the back of that made it all but impossible for FURIA to win that round. They have top east control again, W7M, but at the expense of no HP either way. Still 10 players up in the server, and they'll look now to progress that over towards break, spearheaded by the Monty.
Yeah, Palu with full east control has an idea. There's someone in, and
yeah,
Palu hits those. Herds is going to fall, so it's a 5 versus 4. Now Palu, you can see all those blue silhouettes, my friend. You open up that wall too soon, and you might just get a little pressure coming your way. They'll send Monty up to walk right on in. The Selma will be, I think it was the first pellets will be there. The Selma will be dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big investment. The Castle in combination with the Maestro in combination with the player off is doing everything they can to maintain hallway control. In fact, the first Castle barricade still hasn't been dealt with because both Maestro cameras are still standing. Philippox is making this so frustrating and soaking up not only utility, but critically time. Minute to go on the clock, and the hallway is now finally being cracked by W7M.
The castle barricade is still there, though, which means that you're forcing these players into a funnel through Fountain to get into sight. Now, Fleetbox is inside a Fountain. He will be spotted out as you pepper in the corner. KZ will find a kill, but Nade is there to find Dots. So as it stands, it's a 4 versus 3 match point here in the server, but W7M are fighting hard. It's a 2v2 now. Palu with one. JV92 needs to win this 1v2 to force the third map, or will W7M get that little bit closer to winning the match? Well, there's one down player. You're in a 1 versus 1. You know where he is, but Dodez wins that, and now it's 6-5, and now FURIA, how is your medal?
Wow. Yesterday, we had 3 simultaneous games. We had 6 teams inside of this room, and it never got as loud as it has with just W7M at the helm this afternoon. They continue to fight, and FURIA in response, when they absolutely must call it, their tactical time out. 6-5 the scoreline. One more opportunity to win this one in regulation. W7M on a 3-round win streak. FURIA need to formulate something to break that.
Border really has been an attacker's paradise so far here in this matchup. We said that timeout, Igor will talk to his team, as will Norris. They'll set the plan in action. Obviously, you think about the way the game works. The defenders are usually the ones that set the puzzle. It's down to W7M when they get into the server to work out what best way to approach it, unless they've got a particular strat that they want to run and they want to force FURIA to play their game. The round is beginning, the prep phase, as the site will be Armory and Archives. They've got the Monty as things stand. You're bringing Mira on the defense. Herds brings out Capcan for, I think, the first time we've seen him in this game as well. And bringing out Capcan at a time like this, if it's not spotted out, could be a big issue for W7M. Trying to hide. You know, he was hiding for most of that prep phase, so he's really working on not letting it be known that there's a cap can in play.
Will that be the spanner in the works then, the difference maker for FURIA? It's Clubhouse on the other side if they're able to close it here. If not, regulation to follow. Blitz employed from W7M. And everyone at the moment just creeping around the map and posturing. The Amaru's back. And we never saw that come into fruition last time. They teased Sandwich, then rotated with the OSA Archives. But the OSA is not in play this time around. So they're probably going to revert back to the original strategy.
very, very quiet on border has been the first 50 seconds. You look at your lineup, you talked about that original plan. Blitz has been brought in lieu of that Osa, as has the Monty, but everyone's just waiting. Nobody wants to be the team that makes the first move. Now, Herds is here. I don't see any explosives that could help him if anybody walks in from Breck. Now, Philippox, it's his job to prevent them from losing Breck. Dots checked out Rafters, realized there's nobody playing by Breck, but it's all so slow. This feels tense, this round.
Midway point, and there hasn't been much in the way of action. Still meddling for Control security side. W7m playing patient on the exterior. And FURIA not giving away much. Herd still deep in security. Philippox alongside, also in support, can play the angle 90. The intensity in this round has been insane, but a double from JV92. Is that going to be enough?
Amaru comes in, but it's a 4v1 FURIA. Well, it is Clubhouse a call, and Dodes, he's going to get swung by Herds, and we are going to a third map. And it was slow, it was patient, but it was Nade who capped off one hell of a performance with a big C4 that blew all of W7m's plans apart.
It was such a slow wind-up round, and then bang! Double nitro. FURIA then consolidating the rest of the round, finding success from that tack time out at JV92, letting them know all about it. Smiles on both sides. There's a lot of love inside of the server here, but the rivalry is very much alive, and Clubhouse is going to be one hell of a map. Honestly, I'd probably go as far as to say it could end up being one of the highest quality maps of Siege played at this event so far, if it goes as I suspect.
Well, just as one of the people who's going to be casting that map, that's what I want. You know, being a little bit selfish on it. During the break, whenever it comes after, I will try find out what the score in the game, the other game that's happening right now, is over on the A stream. But you did say it was all smiles after that matchup. Now, would it have been the same case had FURIA lost that map? I think there would be a little bit of a different emotion. But as we were saying earlier, it is important to remember that a lot of these players are friends. You know, they're living in the same area, they're playing on LAN every single week, they see each other all the time, but at the end of the day, does that work against these teams? Well, because they know each other inside out.
That's what's going to make Clubhouse such an intriguing map, because, I mean, even at the best of times, you often see very similar strategy employed by both teams. On this occasion, it's not only that factor, but layered on top of it is the fact that they know each other inside and out, and it's again, it's been about the 1% this entire series, but Clubhouse, that's going to be even more so the imperative nature of the map. And yeah, I'm just so eager. FURIA, resilient. W7m showed even probably more signs of resilience on that second map comparatively to Chalet, where they almost were able to push it to OT, but in the end, it wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, well, look, we are going to jump into a quick break. When we come back, it will be Clubhouse, it will be FURIA against W7m, and it will be the game that sends one of the Brazilians home. We'll be back in a few.
Reach your impossible. Lenovo Legion.
The first punch of this best of three was thrown by w7m on Chalet, but FURIA struck back on Border. It is Clubhouse now that is needed to decide which of these two teams will be progressing and which team's EWC journey will be ending here on day 2. Guz, at one point on Border, it looked like FURIA had the game more than won, but we saw some of those weaknesses again as w7m brought it all the way back and nearly forced overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like for like, the resilience from w7m has certainly been better than FURIA, but I think it does nullify and reset a little bit. Third map, neutral territory, and it's a map which is going to play out structurally quite differently. We've had Chalet, Border, now into Club. It's almost a bit of a reversal. We're anticipating a lot more late round play, and fundamental structure is going to be fairly similar from both teams. It's going to come down to very, very minute, small details, small moments in this matchup to see who can win out.
Well, I always say that you need one map in a pool that every single team is comfortable on. It was like back in the day it was Oregon, now it's Clubhouse. When you're trialing a player, Clubhouse is where you're going to go. When you want to test your fundamentals, it's where you're going to go. One thing's for sure, these teams are going there. One team will be going home afterwards. And, you know, we're just looking at Palu, a player who has been so close time and time and time. I think Atlantic City is really the only time that we saw him raising silverware, and that's a long time ago, guys. It really is. He would love to do it again here at EWC, but if he wants to do it, you've got to beat FURIA on Club.
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to say it gets a bit easier from this point onwards, but to some extent it may well actually end up being the case. It's tough opposition to find yourself up against in only day number 2 of this competition, but a good litmus test to see how you may perform going later on. If one of these teams can have perhaps a dominant victory, I'll tell you what, it will set themselves up very, very nicely for the rest of their run here at EWC 25, but it looks like The server's ready to go. Club is loading up, and these two teams are ready to go to battle.
So the ban phase is underway here. The first two operators removed from play will be Kaid and Thermite. And straight away, you're seeing the difference in the bans on Clubhouse compared to what we see in other maps. So we'll see the hard breach and the breach denial removed. The question is, will they double down? Will we see a Habana removed from play? I think we might have to wait and see. It's going to be Monty and Bandit. So FURIA have gotten rid of the two main forms of breach denial available to w7m.
Yeah, and on the flip side, in terms of analysing the attack bans, Thermite, one of the big influential players on this map, especially for top floor. Monty is very versatile here on Club and can be used to help facilitate clears on so many key positions, but won't be available for FURIA in this opening half. Gym bedroom to kick things off. Can w7m set themselves up with a commanding lead? Test FURIA's resilience, which is still in question here in this series.
Well, Dodez, he's just going to reinforce that main wall in the CCTV. Looks like they will extend out a little bit, but this is par for the course. You reinforce this section of the map, you force the attackers to waste utility, and by getting rid of Thermite, you've already moved a ton of the hard breach utility. The counter to that is they will bring Nade, so Nade will bring Ace, so he does have the Selma charges that he can utilize. They've brought a couple of pocket can openers as well. We watched this map yesterday, and one of the biggest issues that we saw time and time again on this gym bedroom site was Enterprise weren't opening Jacuzzi wall. You're forcing now by banning Thermite to bring those can openers and to bring the Selma charges, and you know for a fact that w7m, they're going to put high priority on that Jacuzzi wall.
So Kennel's side currently, and if FURIA are to encroach that side of the map, they'll run into a pretty fierce hole, top red and Cash, and well, just on cue, Volps in Cash finds Herds for free. That was a bit of a strange entry, and I think I may have even heard a laugh from here. I think that may have been from w7m, I'm not too sure, perhaps curious as to why he was in that position. In the meantime, as you aforementioned, Jacuzzi likely to be opened up, and that has been the case in this round.
Near window is still up between those two breaches as well, so the attackers still have full view. So if somebody from FURIA stands in front of it, you're going to know exactly where they are. But Herds has already fallen. It's a 4 versus 5. You've lost the sledge at this point, but you'll continue to go around your jobs inside the server. Another FNAT's going to go off. They'll make sure that nobody will swing that construction breach to put more pressure onto FURIA. But at this point in time, w7m with the opener, all the onus is on FURIA to make something happen.
Loban, though, finds a kill. And at this point, FURIA unlikely to win the round, but Volps gives away a freebie and just now keeps it in the realm of possibility. Con control should be FURIA's in a moment's time, but as we often see, crossing this corridor into sight can be quite the challenge. They need probably a bit of back hit potential, whether that be from main or more likely for Leapbox Jacuzzi.
And with the mirror in play, you got to assume that it's in Logi, and you can see that they're still holding Logi. Actually, double mirror setup that we see, and it looks like they tried to just vault in the window to make something happen, but Loban will find JB92. Nade will be the next one to fall inside of construction, and it leaves it all down to Philippe in the 1 versus 4. Case is cold. Loban's going to swing to the window to end the round here and now. He's going to flee, realizing that the jig is up. Philippe knows he's there. But for w7m, a great starting round. There's 30 seconds left because this round is all but over. It is now.
Soul smiles for w7m, off to a good start. I will say, in terms of FURIA's teamwork and synchronization, pretty poor. Saw the Rust entry Cash side from Herds, that was dismissed. We saw even in the 3v5 where there's still a chance to make it work, very disconnected. Volt in Gym, not connected with anything else. Jacuzzi was stalled out, Con wasn't taken. Bit weird from FURIA, but it is just an opening attack into Club, and all can be forgiven if they can respond here on Cash.
a second site, so they're electing not to go to basement as one of their primary road parts of the rotate, so it's worth keeping an eye on this game, whether that's just a trend or whether they want to play this position before the next set of bans are going to occur. Remember, mute is the only real form of denial that they have in this situation, so you expect FURIA to get that wall open. Next point of case, or next bit of action for them, will be, of course, getting control of rafters inside of Garage. You look at the lineup, well, they've got the perfect lineup for it. So you can use the Grimbees to detect the position, you can use the Capital Firebolts to move them. All in all, you've got the right lineup. But again, we're seeing a lot of Ying shotgun in play in these games that FURIA are playing in.
Yeah, it seems to be a thought process behind that one for them.
Could it be a potential security window vaulting with that shotgun?
Probably the most likely outcome. Either that or it's a red stairs lurk of some kind of description, I would assume. Yeah, we'll wait and see. Be intriguing. Probably going to be the case where it's a bit of a slower wind-up for FURIA on this round, and that's the expectation for Club, is it to just reel in a little bit. The Barner trick from JV92. Let's see if he knows how to cook. Shotgun pistol close by from hers, as he'll be able to open that wall once the X-Kairos detonate. All soft and early success. Dots lurking below. I can see that orange outline. In blue, could jump out and catch a timing. Actually, the Rotero from Flores to ensure the wall is now opened up. What are FURIA cooking up here? This is a little bit unconventional at the moment.
Yeah, they've not really put any effort towards clearing anybody from inside of rafters. We spoke yesterday about some teams using 2 players. That's exactly what they're doing. One by the window, one a little bit over towards position 1, and that'll be JV92. He does get that kill, so it's a 5 versus 4 now. Those Candelas are going to start going off. Maybe we'll see that Ying execute, but still inside of blue, inside a secret, there is a defender for w7m. And any form of a vault into this window now will be instant death. And even if Dots does fall, he has the position to trade, but I think with that pressure coming on, he'll rotate back to site. A minute left to go, and the numbers in the favor of W7, or in the favors of FURIA.
Yeah, JV92 still with diffuser in hand. He's outside main breach. Second layer of utility now to follow from FURIA. Capitao and Grim likely to combine rafters. You would imagine for FURIA. Volp's under pressure, flamed out, pushed out, dead.
Did he know there was somebody behind him inside of Garage, as well as Nade will begin stepping further up. 5 versus 3 with 35 seconds to go. We've still not seen what Philippe Box is going to do, but Dots will spray the wall with JV92's brain off in the distance to put the numbers a little bit closer. 4v3. 25 seconds. There's another silhouette.
Right
yeah,
there.
He's right behind the window. Dots will get a kill, but he's traded back. It's a 3 versus 2 now. Another kill, but it's Loban that will find it this time. 13 seconds, big opportunity for FURIA. Philippe Box with the case, but Loban finds another one. The case is cold. It's a 1 versus 2. He can't go for the plant. He's got to find the kills, but w7m pull right from the brink. And FURIA are going to really wish they had that one back.
Yeah, it got a bit messy there from FURIA. How has Dots been allowed to walk straight through the middle of sight? Claimed 2 kills, sure traded, but then it threw off the structure from FURIA on attack. Messy, messy, messy. And I forgave them in the first round because of 3 versus 5. You expected the timing and the synchronization to perhaps not be as critical, but again in this round, just didn't quite sync. They went for a bit of an unconventional approach. Still tried to clear key common positions, and for the most part rather successful. But when they then had to transition towards execute for site control, that's unfortunately where it fell apart.
It was very un-FURIA. Like you said, it was very disjointed, you know, discombobulated to be another word you could use. As it looks like we will be re-hosting the lobby at this point, and important to note, of course, the coaches can't talk to the players during the rehost. I'm not even sure the players can talk to each other based on the rulebook, and as we look this way, it kind of looks like that's the case.
Yeah, didn't quite catch which team had an issue, but saw a rehost called in chat, and so the lobby will now be reformed. At this point in time, I'm not sure how much that really favors the team or anything like that. I think FURIA probably needed a bit of an opportunity to just chill out and reset and stew in what has been, unfortunately, not the best of starts for them. And we saw Chalet, slow start, took them a while to show any semblance of a comeback, and even then, that was stunted pretty quickly by w7m. And so far, it's looking like a similar storyline here, that just not connecting on attack the way that we know they can.
It's the first time that we're seeing any of the maps in the series where the team that starts on attack has not been able to take, really take any conviction in the game. Like you think back to Chalet, that great start that w7m had. We moved on over to border. It was the same from FURIA, but it looks like the pace has slowed down just a little bit. I want to say this too. The view that you guys had on camera a second ago is basically the same view we have, that I love being able to look at the players. But what we're going to do while we're waiting the players to get back in the lobby, we're going to throw it to a very quick break, and we'll be right back. And we are back, and I hope you use that opportunity to get yourself hydrated. Maybe get some popcorn, because I think this is going to be a very fun rest of club to watch. If you're just joining us now, we are on map 3 of this best of 3. The loser goes home, the winner will progress into the playoffs. But so far, it's been very disjointed from FURIA on their Clubhouse attacks. A map where you really do get tested on your fundamentals.
Server loading back up. FURIA backed into a corner at the moment. Still early stages of this third map, but a 2-0 lead for w7m. And as you mentioned, w7m are playing well. FURIA, in my opinion, though, playing nowhere near full strength. Timing and synchronization has just not quite been there. They've had a couple of unconventional approaches in how they want to clear particular position, and that's inherently okay. But their execution falling short at the moment, and w7m are exposing weakness.
Yeah, and this is an event that this roster hasn't really found a lot of success in the past as well. Has FURIA or the old w7m, the new w7m, looking to change their kind of org's history here over at EWC. But if there's one thing we can say about FURIA, they have shown in the past they can tidy up their issues. Like even back when you think back to that Chalet, they did tidy things up, but it was just a little too late. Too much damage was done in the first half. Like at the end of the day, if they win this round or they get out of here with, you know, if they win this one, you're like, well, those first two rounds didn't really mean much. You know, we're back to a 2-1 and everything's fine.
Now to defuse a bomb.
So it's basement in play, and defensively, w7m are electing to go pretty hard on the roam. Interestingly enough, all the primary hatches have been reinforced as well. So not looking to play fall off from the hatches themselves, but play a little bit more of an old school style roam in that regard. FURIA will want to take this head on though. It begins over towards Kennel's side to breach across in towards the likes of Cash. Currently being held on that side of the map, Palu top red. Loban as well, directly inside of CCTV. Dodez as well, Garage Rafters. Do not get this mistaken, do not get it twisted. This is a basement defense, but nobody on the site.
Yep.
Dots isn't even on the objective. He's basement, but he's in dirt.
And it almost seems like they know that FURIA are going to try to take the map from the top to the bottom. So even if you just stay around, you know, maybe another 30 seconds and fall back the site, you've already used up half of the time that FURIA have at offer. One of their Brazilian counterparts in FaZe Clan are one of the best in the world at realizing if it's an extended roam on Clubhouse. Now you'll see them push down blue directly to site. You see that Herds will push down to the bottom main pretty quickly, realizing that, you know, there was a bit of a roam, but when that door has been reinforced, it's the signal for the defenders that you gotta be in position, because maybe, just maybe, they might be trying to make something happen.
I wonder if there is a genuine window here for FURIA to exploit the setup, go direct site, and then catch w7m on retake. JV92 lurking con as w7m try to peel back towards the objective, but FURIA encroaching.
Setting breach charge.
Yeah, look at this. They're right into Moto. You can see some of the stuff. Volpsto will find that opening kill as he finds one on main, almost another, but Dodez will shut it down. This window of opportunity has been shut straight away by w7m. JB92 will find one. Little bit of damage tagged over on the other side as KZ will level the sides once more. Maybe, just maybe, FURIA have found the opportunity they need to make something happen, but blue is still not clear. JV92 with a double now. You can see there's a potential backstab as he pushes down. Mira's right around the corner. Mira gets the kill, but now you know where Palu is. So at this point in time, with one defender above, one defender on site, this could be an opportunity for w7m. But can you find Palu on the Mira? Palu so tempted to swing here, goes 24 seconds. The fire dart will force him back, but the case has to go down from JV.
Yeah, JV92 to dash across now over towards Arsenal. Need to cover another flame, but Palu's pushed forward. Could catch a timing, and that's exactly what takes place. Nitro Cell to follow, but JV92 already repositioned. Loba's on the ground. Can Palu clutch up for w7m? So much experience and so desperate to win an event, but now needs to step up, and that's exactly what he does. It's 3 in the round, and it's 3 rounds in a row for w7m.
And Palu still has it. He's never lost it. He wins that one with a triple kill. w7m winning another, and it's another time in this game where FURIA are like, all right, we're bound to have this one from this position. I love it. I actually love it. w7m looking a well-oiled machine here on Clubhouse defense.
The rivalry in this room is really quite palpable. It's fascinating to watch just how w7m are looking to get under the skin of FURIA, not just inside the server, but outside. They are so familiar with this LAN environment and they are making it count. FURIA are under pressure. Their spot at EWC on the line. Tactical timeout called. Can they correct course? Can they turn it around?
If anybody can, they can. But just look at the difference in the facial expressions as well. All smiles on the side of w7m. Something as well that I love seeing every time I see it is that star on the FURIA jersey that kind of symbolizes, yes, they've won an invitational. You know, if you ever doubt yourself, maybe you can look down at it and cheer yourself up just a little bit. But at this point, you need a little more than that. You are 3 rounds down on Clubhouse, on attack. But on Clubhouse, is that really that much of a problem, Guz?
The position at the moment is salvageable, for sure. FURIA can now, after seeing these defensive holds, look to be a bit more reactionary and formulate plans to respond quickly. I just don't know if their fundamentals are as sharp as they typically are for that to actually take place. For me, that's the biggest concern for them. They could have all the strategic depth in the world to know how to counterplay these holds, but if they can't execute it inside of the server, it means nothing. Back to gym bedroom, round 4 as expected.
Bomb located by attackers.
And w7m hot off that clutch will have the confidence well and truly flowing. FURIA, can they shake it?
And the bans come through as well, so it's another hard breach that's been banned by w7m. FURIA will get rid of the mirror. You saw the double mirror setup last time we came to this site, and this was the site that FURIA, I think, looked the worst on this game. Everything was so disjointed. They lost an early pick. You had JV just jumping into a window, who is playing Chalet, by the way. It's worth pointing that out. No mirror obviously being banned, so maybe you'll expect something at long range, you know, get rid of a mute jammer. Oh, there we go. Volps will fall. Herds spotted him over by the other side by CCTV, and it's a 5v4. Early pick. The wall is, my old eyes, I didn't realize that the wall was reinforced there for a second.
Yeah, a bit hard to see. So FURIA advantage, and that's been few and far between on this map. Looking to now convert this position. Clear Kennel's side, and as you saw, Herds on the Roteros as well from below. Deathmark on Dodez and KZ to capitalize. This is looking better from FURIA. They're commanding the map with a little bit more authority.
Yeah, and they still have an idea that there could be someone looking to play that extra trade to maybe retake top rafters. So they're not going to necessarily go in blind, but you will still have the hold being held. Herds down below inside the kitchen. You've got Palu directly above him over by Logi. He can do that. The hatch is, of course, as you can see, open, but nobody on the roof from the side of FURIA. You look at another thing worth mentioning. On a site where we can see verticality have an impact, especially from C4s from below, none have been brought by w7m. So they need to defend this site from this level.
5 versus 2. KZ falls, but too little too late for w7m. And after that tactical timeout, FURIA will successfully convert. Finally, getting around on Club. Around they so desperately were searching for. But Loban, hold on, could clutch. And I tell you what, he gets that final kill and turns it into a 1v1. It could have been his. Not to be though, and FURIA now on the scoreboard.
And it was Nade that got that kill, and so many times is Nade that player who cleans things up at the end for FURIA. Coming off the back of what was an excellent game from Nade, he gets that one. w7m, they finally surrender around here on the defense on Clubhouse, and if FURIA win the next, well, you're going, whatever about that bad start, they've rectified the problems that we have, as Herds has a little laugh in the all chat inside the game. You know, one thing I like about the Brazilians is they usually decide to give their chat out loud, vocally across the stage, whereas some of the teams here, they like to try to get in the minds. I think we saw a lot of it from Weibo earlier today.
Yeah.
It kind of worked. I think they did upset DZ just a little bit with it.
So Cash CCTV for the 5th round. Pretty aggressive repick here from FURIA. They bring the Capital back into the hands of Herds. And that tool critical in dealing with Garage presence if it is to be in play from W7M, and considering his arm is in play, and I'm seeing some of those keeper barriers plays currently on the overhead. That will no doubt be a key objective for W7M in holding that position and making a default plant more challenging. FURIA had a pretty unorthodox method of clearing these particular positions last time. They postured a lot towards that Kennels breach, set up crossfires, and tried to unlock it from there. Given where they've spawned and they're really posturing at the moment, probably suggesting that it's going to be a little bit more of a classical clear from them on this particular occasion. That does mean, though, they'll be feeding into the triple ADS setup. And Dodes, who can, at the best of times, be really, really powerful in that spot.
Yeah, and with only 2 firebolts in the hands of Capital and the ADS now dealing with those, you've got to use some of that other utility. So those 4 flash grenades take on a little bit more value. Dodes will find that opener just, you know, we're speaking about that Raptors position. Down falls JV92. Now, he did get the breach open, so he didn't fall, you know, for nothing. You'll see KZ get to work now, finishing opening up that breach with the Rotero charges. And what more can he find? Where else can you do some damage? You're going to throw it in, maybe get rid of some of those Kiba barriers. That might capture one of those ADSs as well, which could be oh so vital for clearing the Raptors position.
Yeah, definitely got at least one of the catch, potentially 2.
But he saw the 3. He will have seen it as well on the camera.
Yeah, I think he got 2. Wow, that had quite the range. No, just the 1, but it's in the middle. Okay. Oh no, it was the one on the end. Okay, they were just quite separate in distance. Will that be enough to be a difference maker, though? Dodes, can he hold the line? EMP, the catch nullified. The Flames likely to follow unless Dodos can deny. Not quite the case. Flames come through, but the air jab able to disrupt that, and so he can reposition. Drone on his spot, so he knows, or pardon me, FURIA know that he's moved. Dancing around this Kiba barrier. FURIA having teething issues in clearing this position, but finally they break through.
And they've got 50 seconds to work with as well. JV92 has fallen, but you've now got control of Rafters. A smoke will be put so you can get up the stairs a little bit safer, but the barbed wire could be an issue, but nobody's holding that long angle that looks towards the stairs. Volps is still playing below, just by pit, and as these FURIA players push deeper and deeper in the Rafters, if there's no flank cameras, if there's nobody keeping an eye on that potential flank, it could be a big problem. KZ will find a kill, but Herds has fallen during that one fight. KZ is going to go down now too. W7M and any 2 versus 1, they're going to get the res, but just as I spoke about it, the flank comes through and W7M will get another round and start the bleeding onto FURIA once more.
Yeah, just looking over my shoulder at FURIA specifically, and they just do look a little bit frustrated at the moment. They know they're not playing at their full potential. On the flip side, W7M, well, they just continue to be vocal as they have been throughout the day. Quite pleased with how things are eventuating here on Club. 4 rounds and potentially a 5th on the horizon. They find themselves 5-1 up. Again, it's FURIA, I don't count them out, but I think based on what FURIA we are seeing currently, it probably will be enough to seal the deal. We just need to see at least one player from FURIA just fire up here.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be the round, but they can still take a 4-2 half, but I feel like if we get to 5-1, it is going to be the job over. But I wanted to get all the viewers to think back. FURIA's first game at EWC at this event was, I believe, against OXG on Clubhouse, and they surrendered a 5-1 opening half, and they just weren't able to come back against OXG. It's going to be just as tough, if not tougher, to come back against W7M if they surrender this round.
W7M will continue to bring the heat here. They're not giving FURIA any respite. During these executes, they're continually disrupting them, and the flow from FURIA that they're so accustomed to just hasn't been afforded to them. KZ below needs to be mindful of blue. That's a trade potential from Paolo in a moment's time, and there it is. So a 4 versus 4, you lose the Warden. Is that worth it for the death marks? I'm not quite sure on the Deimos. It's subjective. It does, though, mean that the 2 smokes in the pocket of the attack will be a little bit more impactful.
You don't want to lose KZ either. It's a 3v3 as we've got essentially another trade as Philippox and Dots will remove each other from this matchup. Volps takes a ton of damage as his feet were revealed inside of Cash. Azami is now going to swing, so you can see that Nade has read the situation. Do some damage, then assume that Azami is going to try to play the trade. But there you go, swings around the corner. Nade will find one. It's a 2v2. In essence, we get another trade. 2v1, 1v1, and Nade will clean it up again. Furia will get 2 rounds. It's a 4-2 half for W7M. But any single time that Furia need a hero, it just seems to be Nade.
That was such a classic Brazilian coded round, though, where it's trade,
Yep.
trade, 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 trade. We don't see much action on the objective, and in the end, it was Furia who were just a little bit sharper in the end. And with that, they remain competitive. 2-4, a salvageable position if they can hold firm on defense. For the second half, then, it's an additional wave of bans. Double hard breach in Thermite and Ace, and then double denial in Kaid and Bandit, which we have become accustomed to here on Club. And I suppose most notably it does mean that the Monty will be available and likely exploited by attack.
It's so funny because before CJX came out, if someone told you we're going to have a double hard breach and double denial ban on Clubhouse, you'd think that they were crazy.
Yeah.
But with CJX, with the fact you got an extra ban in the pocket after 3 rounds, it's something that you can afford to do. 4-2 W7M. Furia now switched to the defending half. Brazil, Furia, usually known for being solid on their defenses on Clubhouse, have been rattled on their defenses on every other map so far today. Can they claw this one back? Usually, when I work with Whippet, he likes to say that the 7th round, to him, is one of the most important rounds of any game of Siege because it's the momentum swinger.
Yeah.
You go from maybe 5-2 to potentially 4-3. I feel in this matchup between these 2 Brazilian sides, it takes on even more importance.
Yeah, it can definitely be the tone setter, I think, for the half. Early control then. Kitchen side, Loban wanting some space to open up hatch directly towards site. Plenty of drone work being taken place elsewhere, probably to facilitate a map clear from the attack, or maybe open up the opportunity for a more direct approach. Loban to go searching down bot main. It's a classic playbook from Brazil to try and exploit this position if there is a roam being employed. Just to plant the seed of doubt in defense, maybe force an over-rotation. But Furia are probably expecting that, of course, and aren't necessarily going to fall for that bait, at least not initially, without additional layering of pressure.
And they brought the Goyo for that exact reason as well. That canister popping off means that you can't just rush in and take immediate control of that church wall and in towards Moto. So the rest of W7M, they'll get to work clearing the map from the top to the bottom. They've got Blackbeard that will help them with that clear. They've got drones in position as well. Volps will just make sure that nobody's going to rotate from that garage side. We can see there is a defender in and around rafters as we speak. And well, this is the operator you want to get there to help out, right? You want the Blackbeard to work to clear this position because it's a lot lower of a risk.
There is a player in cash. Dots now with the read. Herds, Nitro ripped. Frag grenade in response. Nitro shot and shots exchanged, but Herds will survive. Elsewhere though, KZ doesn't suffer the same fate, and Dodes gets in on the action. Herds now under a lot of pressure, but there's only so much he can do. 2 versus 3 in favor of W7M.
Nade and JV92. Nade having another good map in this series. Well, he's got to do a little bit more. The Goyo canisters can still slow down the push depending on where they're placed. 44 seconds on the clock. Volps has taken a lot of damage. The cam still up inside a bar will let you know where those players are. Loban looks like he might be thinking about where to go now. With 30 seconds, you're running out of time. It'll take a couple more seconds for that hatch to drop. If you're going to drop through it, that's even more. You're going to go to try to get the case down with maybe 10, 11 seconds left on the clock. This is going to be a problem. There you go. The canister will get the kill on the Vulps. The drop's going to come through. 10 seconds to work within this 2 versus 2. The cover is going to be there from Dodez. But will they be able to stick the plant? Does they know the players by AKs? He'll step over, he'll spray, the case goes down, but it's a 2 versus 1. You know where the player is, but Dodez is better. Dodez kills him, and w7m will get one more round. And where did that come from?
Yeah, this is done. I think the game's done. FURIA, you backed them in to win that style of post every single time to trade that out. Yeah, I don't know what Norris is saying, but if you said you guys suck, you should have won that, he's probably on point in that particular round. That is a wild round for FURIA to be losing out on. Insane that they're allowing that position to be held in the post and not traded out efficiently.
That's a mental buster now, and you're 5-2 down on Clubhouse. You can still bring this one back. Defense on this map can be so effective for FURIA, but w7m are just dismantling FURIA on their defenses time and time and time again. FURIA need this round. You give w7m a sniff of a map and series point, you can say goodbye to your chances at EWC. But for FURIA, slow everything down, calm the heart rates, try to play the tempo back into the defender's favor. But for w7m, things are looking bright.
Yeah, it's not often I'd be calling it in favor of w7m this early against the likes of FURIA, but I just really don't think they're firing at the moment. Unless they can have that big highlight moment and have that a key player or two step up and be the one to thrive, I just don't see them being able to navigate back into this one. Because as a team, they're continually falling short. w7m, everybody is having impact. And everyone's stepping up when the moment calls. Gym Bedroom, 4 round number 8. Palu down below on the Nook Lurk. Looking to counter that BPC to his side. In a position to catch a rotate if there is to be one later on. And he does catch a rotate. JV92 in the grave.
And things going from bad to worse. Loban gets the kill onto KZ as the numbers looking really good for w7m. 5-2 the scoreline, 5-3 inside the server as Dots is looking now to clear cache. They've got a ping on another one of those defenders, but how important could that be? Philippe Box retaking Raptors, gets a double kill. It's a 3v3 now as the IGL looks to drag his team back in. Now a player will go to Raptor's door. Nade gets the kill now too, but that reveals the position. The C4 thrown. Is he going to get one? It's shot out.
No
he does get
way.
traded, but he gets the kill. Palu in a 1 versus 2 for w7m. Position is known. He has a long ways to go. This has to be the cleanest trade, the cleanest hold that these two FURIA players are going to do all day, because Palu, if there's one thing Palu has, it is patience.
And he has a minute to work with. He's already clutched up once here on Club. And if he clutches up again, it's a series point. Nade and Herds need to hold the line, hold the cross. They'll play compact. When one gets contact, the other swings. Can Palu line the
No way!
He gets one. The second
No way, Palu!
Palu clutches up for w7m. Are you kidding me?
And it's not the first time on Clubhouse. Palu gets it done. You should not be losing in a 2v1 when you have the cross, but Palu will do it. 1 round away from sending FURIA home now, our w7m.
Well, if it wasn't done after the last round, I think that one is absolutely the nail in the coffin. Nothing going the way of FURIA and everything going right for w7m. They quite literally can't put a foot wrong at the moment. It doesn't matter what gets thrown at them. They continue to have that clutch ability.
crazy thing about all that is they did it with his own charm on the gun as well. Yeah. You know.
Oh, the ultimate aura.
But you think about it. It all started the knock pick. He went down below. He knew that someone would rotate up through blue, through secret, through Adam, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, it was an insane start to the round. Then we saw Felipox with the Hero 3K despite being traded. That was huge. He should not have been allowed to get away with that. He put his team in the winnable position and they still couldn't win it with utility in hand, in play with the Kiba, or 2 versus 1. Probably played it to perfection. Up to 12 kills on Clubhouse. And it's 4 series points. W7M red hot at the moment.
It feels like every single map we've been on, we've been in this position of like a 6-2.
Yep.
If I'm not wrong. And not once has the team at the wrong side of that scoreline been able to bring it back. Yes, W7M got close in the last game, but for FURIA, all the trends, everything we've seen today tells you that W7M should get the job done from here. Your reload champions, former 6 invitational champions, back-to-back major champions. We know that they've got metal, but Lowen, he's got lead, and he gets that opening knock on the Felipox.
It only feels inevitable at this point. In a moment's time, FURIA could be sent home by their Brazilian counterparts in W7M, and we know how deep this rivalry runs, and we expected it to be also close, but KZ with a clutch shot, the UMP onto the Blackbeard.
4 versus 4. The Blackbeard is down, out of this game. The case is cold, but there's still a minute and a half to work with. Look at the drone economy. They've almost got every single drone that they started the roll round with, and they're still going to have those logic bombs that they can deploy a little bit later in the round. They've still got Loben on the Deimos who can identify where those... And there's a double. So you get the death mark. It's going to fail because of the mute jammer, and you target one of the players. So mute coming in clutch right there for FURIA, at least for this stage of the execute.
60 seconds then on the clock. Volp's looking to clear default. The verticality potential for this attacking lineup isn't great, but won't necessarily be required for a round win. Still 6 drones up for W7M, and so they'll look to likely gain some information through this portion of the round to set themselves up for that final execute. Volps, does he elect a hatch drop? Do they go for the push down main triple? Hatch drop likely their best option at this point in time, but there is still 1 nitro up for FURIA.
Not only that, you've still got 2 death marks you can use. Now JV92, he will get a kill. It's a 4v3 with 24 seconds. But they've lost from worse positions than this already. 4v2 now, it's all down to Dodez if W7M want to win the map here. FURIA looking to crawl it back. Dodez inside blue, the flames will dissipate, and the kill from above, Herds, will keep FURIA in this, but for how much longer? Every journey starts with the first step, and they're 3 steps behind.
Better from FURIA, W7M lacking in the execute. In fact, they weren't really able to posture for it in the end, but it got nicely disrupted by FURIA. They deserved the plaudits on that occasion. It didn't feel like a direct throw from W7M, but certainly a step up in terms of performance from a FURIA that haven't looked great here on Club so far. Can they turn it around? It'd be one of their great comebacks if they're able to do so. Final bans, both in the shield department. It's Blackbeard and Clash.
They do have a history with you on the mic of making comebacks in games like this, so you just never know. W7M have called that timeout, so I think that they just want to get it done now. We saw on the last map that in a similar situation, FURIA waited to the very final round in regulation to use theirs. But, like, it is defense on Clubhouse, so there is a chance for FURIA to get this one done, but they need to not make a single mistake, because you know the way W7M are playing, they'll capitalize on it.
Great minds on either side here for both rosters in the coaching department, and it could be a key difference maker at the tail end of this series. CCTV and Cash to be the site of choice from FURIA for this 10th round. No more opportunities to squander advantages, no more opportunities to make mistakes. And we've seen plenty of them from FURIA, which is quite uncharacteristic of them. 3 rounds standing between them and OT.
CCTV Cash, the site of choice of FURIA to try get it done. They are going to need to win one of the tertiary sites as well if they want to win it. So in reality, we could be coming down to a situation where Jimbar and FURIA have their game on the line. But we still got to get there. They've still got to win these important rounds. The round has now begun. The attacking lineup is set. They've brought the Capitao. You've got the Shield. Those two will work in tandem to attempt to clear Rafters. Something similar with Loban and the Flores as well, where you send it in through the main breach. But the question is, I always say this, the player on Rafters has to die. You're playing your life in this position. How much damage can you do before you fall?
Focus on the main breach. Currently, the wall pre-opened by the defense just to make Volps's experience a little bit more challenging. But you're right, JV92 in a key power position, and he'll be eager to have as much impact as possible. Stall out this push headed by the Monty for as long as possible.
3 ADSs and the Wamai discs as well. This is going to be a utility fortress for JV92, but you cannot peek too aggressively. I know you're trying to get the kill that's going to help your side, but you've got to stall out the w7m push. You can see the breach. Not quite sure if it's been opened just yet. Maverick is still getting the work. They have stood the soft one, so Loban now will use the Rotero to open that up.
W7M just slowly and methodically working their way through this checklist. Equally, much like JV92, they don't want to give anything away for free as well. Capitao bolts being expended elsewhere on the map. That's outside Kennels, although JV92 on Rafters, as you can see in the outline, hasn't really been dissuaded from his position. There'll be pressure on Dots now on Monty to march forward, to put this player under the pump.
This is dangerous. This is dangerous. The spray towards the door. He's going to get down the fire dart, but it's a 4v4, but Rafters has now been cleared. Philippox will find the position below. Might just be about to run into some trouble, as Palu might be not too far away. Stepping back down inside of Secret now, as Volps will start throwing utility. Philippox is blind, but Volps will get the kill. It's 3v4 now. 40 seconds to go. Loban's cleared it out. W7M looking to win the game here and now, Guz. But the case, importantly, is cold on Rafters.
Yeah, they'll need to look to collect that. 30 seconds on the clock. W7M with advantage may have the win con of kills if required, but Dodes to retrieve kit, Palu to play Overwatch below, as well as Loban, who could creep red.
This is the big moment now for FURIA. He doesn't want to go through the window. He knows the risk from red, so he opens it up and he steps for the default plant. 9 seconds to go. Here comes the move from KZ, but the cover is good. Nade's going to fall. The diffuser is down and it's a 2v2 now. Rafters still controlled by Palu. He's falling back. He's been the star of the show. He's coming under pressure, but he's still alive. He will now be slain, though. One player left alive. Loban on the rappel. It's a triple for Nade, but can Loban make it happen? He knows it's going to come out. He wins his one. 20 seconds to go now.
Whoa.
He falls, and Herds will secure at least one more round for FURIA.
Well, it doesn't get much closer than that. FURIA winning it out on the post with a player still on rappel and a second Rafters. You punch that into the calculator and more often than not, the attacking team is going to win that round. But that is a reflection of the resilience that FURIA can finally now tap into, have finally tapped into. We've waited quite a while for it in multiple portions of this series, but a 4-6 scoreline now 2 away from OT.
The one thing is for sure, the more rounds FURIA win, the bigger the heartbreak if they eventually don't win this tie. W7M still, though, on match point. So they still hold the advantage, but it is attack on Clubhouse. As I keep reminding everybody, do not rule out FURIA fighting back. Lineup, little bit of a change now. They're bringing the Valk, they're bringing the Mira. But as we said earlier, they win this round. It's got to be, you've got to be going to, it's just, like, where do you go to try to close this game out? Do you go back down to basement? It's a round that W7M have found a lot of success on, but we've still got to win this round before we can even think about it, I guess.
Loading full magazine. Wall fortified.
W7M bringing sense into the comp. No Warden spotted, Ying also included. Is that indicative of maybe something aggressive Jacuzzi side? Could they just be tools to help facilitate the clear from kennels across? Options are plenty. In the meantime, Loban as well on that Ying actually did take a bit of damage. I think that may have been Herds on the spawn pick attempt, but he's making his way back towards the objective now. Drone work early, garage side. And so there'll at least be an initial early map clear, but as is characteristic, work on the hard breach Jacuzzi side simultaneously.
Then you look at the lineup, they do have 4 can openers that they're going to use on the other side of the map as they create that line of, they try to open up cache, they try to open up that line of sight into construction. They open up even just a single line of that wall. They haven't opened the whole thing yet, but that single line gives FURIA something to think about whenever you're trying to rotate around that section of the map. 2 minutes to go. A lot of early prep work has been done by W7M so far, but vitally, no kills on the board just yet.
Exterior con opened up, and so it just continues to be more groundwork in this opening minute and a half for W7M. FURIA consolidating on site. There's no hold inside of cache currently, but there is JV92 and Con, and he finds a kill onto Loban, who I believe was in CCTV. Perhaps through that angle in the wall. And W7M not in a position to respond. In fact, the wall was closed, so I don't quite know how JV92 found that opening kill, but either way, some nice finesse. And now W7M on the back foot.
Everything's still finely balanced, despite the numbers being in favor of FURIA at this point, but that has just been changed. Dots will find. He's just vaulted inside a gym. He's got the case, but those smoke canisters are very dangerous indeed. He tries to find another knock, another kill, maybe something to help him out, but is this the execute attempt in the 4 versus 4?
Well, he dodged the Nitro, but still taking damage. Dots desperately trying to find somewhere safe to plant, but Dodez helps out, finds the kill. Nitro then lands. 3 versus 3. Dots is still alive, desperately trying to get that diffuser on the deck.
Yeah, and look, he's got 2 players have fallen. It's all down to Palu. Is it written in the stars? Is Palu going to do it once more? He looks at the wall that he didn't open enough to get into. Can he get back to Dodez? Could he potentially get his teammate back up? Philippok says no. With 20 seconds to go, he's got to go the long way. He was in this exact same position before, but it was a 3 versus 2. But this time, he's not going to get it done. FURIA making sure we'll see every round in regulation. They're now 1 round away from overtime. W7M still 1 round away from the next matchup.
I really didn't think that this was going to be another classic FURIA bounce back, but so far they have dug their heels in and W7M don't have the answers to match them. Good opening kill, no trade, and then FURIA consolidate and they don't throw. That made it really difficult at the end, and yeah, I don't think I've ever really labeled FURIA as throwing rounds, but today may be the exception. There have certainly been some. But they're finding form right when it matters the most.
Big round at the Esports World Cup. FURIA, Reload champions, the top dogs in Brazil, are 1 round away from being eliminated and 1 round away from overtime. You think of the teams that have fallen so far. FaZe are out of this competition. We lost DZ earlier today. These are 2 of the best teams that we still have standing, And as you said, could it potentially be easier from here for the team that wins? Because this is a marquee matchup.
Possibly, but I'm sure that's far from these 10 players' minds currently looking to find the advantage in this round. It's basement in play and a map clear likely. Hatches, though, reinforced outside of stock. And so Palu's role on the hard breach will be critical on Habano. But he'll be required a little bit later on. Currently, drone work in play, looking to spot out any players that may potentially be above. It's Herds and Bathroom, KZ, Logi. And they'll be looking to work together to stall out this attack. KZ, quite aggressive in Logi. If Dots drops, he could be under threat.
Yeah, Dots has got to be careful. He's got full information. Look, this drone is not finally going to get spotted.
Well, Philippox has gone down the kitchen. He's going to create Vert down below to try and counter this.
Yeah, does he know Herds is going to get the opener? So Dots is gone. The shield is out of here now. A shotgun from KZ will find another one. It's a 5 versus 3. Don't want to get too excited just yet. There's still so much time in this game, and FURIA have given up bigger leads than this already on this matchup. But Guz, you've certainly given yourself a massive chance at overtime, but Dodez will eventually take down Herds.
And w7m still with a lot of time to work with. Philippox still in kitchen. Ooh, and he gets caught. In the meantime, though, Palu also falls. And that means the Habana is off the board. Moto hatch, kitchen hatch, well, they're both still standing. One can opener, and Dodos has a decision to make if he elects to open one of those hatches. Loban as well, on the line in support, may still have a scan or two remaining. It's very much a potential winnable position for w7m, but they have to isolate picks, and that's tricky.
The cam has already been dealt with inside Garage. It's 53 seconds, so still plenty of time to work with if you're w7m. All the defenders now have retreated back to site as the turtle defense will be used. But there's 40 seconds left to go. Dodez with the diffuser, pushing down blue. The support doesn't seem to be here at this point in time, but one kill for him could open everything up. But KZ, he's got the answer. Loban will step in to pick up the case, and he makes it a 2 versus 1. The smoke will prevent the push from now. One defender over by AKs. It's JV92, I believe, in need. So it's 2 shotguns and an SMG11 to use. And JV92 will secure overtime for FURIA. The comeback isn't over yet, though, but they are starting on defense. And you've seen how good defense has been here in Clubhouse.
Well, Norris is still smiling, so the vibes are terrible in the w7m camp, or at least he's hiding it well. FURIA have fought back, and they will have defense in overtime.
I can't understand it. I tried. I had a look. I was laughing in there.
Yeah. So basement then for round 13, as the intensity just continues to find new levels in this matchup. And this is why, before this match started, we were fairly confident it would be close at some point. Now, sure, maps 1, 2 lopsided, but the third, it has converged. What can w7m do now to halt some of this momentum, which has well and truly been built by FURIA?
Basement defense to kick things off here in overtime. One of these teams will get the 2 chances to win the game in overtime. The other team will only get 1. Dots will bring the shield into play. Volps with Ying in the back pocket. Palu with Ubana will work on opening up those hatches. And in the last round, it was the inability to open those hatches that made that defense a little bit easier for FURIA.
It's a horizontal entry from Loban, but we'll need to be mindful that, much like the prior round, FURIA have the extension up above. Will they have teething issues in clearing it this time? Also note, Felipox is hiding, I can only assume hiding, inside of bathroom, and that is a position that could potentially go uncleared as well.
It's a really expansive roam from FURIA in the early stages. There's 3 defenders on the top floor. Now Lobin will find one, and Nade is going to take some damage elsewhere. Now there is a player inside of bar. KZ can hear that about to pop off, but you got to be careful of the Monty that's just gone through construction. They might just spot where you are. Now the attention is being drawn to the potential flank from that top floor, but w7m with an early advantage here on overtime.
Oh, that's the Monty down. Well, that's a blow to this attack. Dot's 4-11, and it's been a rough map for him. As we eclipse the midpoint of the round, w7m now need to collect the pieces. And again, keep in mind, to reiterate, there's still 2 players above, and a live drone for Palu to try and maybe cut that down. Volp's on the balcony, and Palu collects. KZ, though, still inside of Jim, and lands the shot from Waits. 3 versus 3, minute on the clock, and w7m struggling for map control, but they finally get that kill. JV92 and Nade now need to fortify the objective. Nade half HP, and there's a lot of time for this attack to now work with.
Yeah, it's got almost a minute left. They've got Palu still alive. He can open up those hatches, so they're not going to have the same issue that they had the last time they went to execute. Looks like he's going to push open through dirt, so maybe it's going to be a dirt kitchen hatch. At least make them think that that's the case. 35 seconds to go. Shotgun in the hands of JV92. He's only going to get a very quick window to try to get these kills. If they drop through that hatch, the stun grenade's going to be thrown, but it's not going to land. The push is going through bottom main. They've completely flipped it. Are they going to go in for that church tech? They're down there. Dodez is going to go open the wall, but time is the enemy as things stand. You really got to think Nade just has to win one fight here, and it could be enough. He steps over, but he's going to fall. But there's only 4 seconds. 1 versus 3. They step in. JV gets the kill, and Dodez is going to go for the plant. So rotate now. He's behind the table. The cover is good. The case goes down, and w7m are on the brink of going to match point again here in overtime, unless JV92 has something to say about it.
Well, he's had some good moments in this matchup, but low on HP, now needs to play the best he has tonight. Can he break the cross? The answer, no. w7m reclaim series point.
They had so many opportunities to win the game on attack and regulation, and they couldn't get that round. The first one in overtime, though, they're going to find it. So now, FURIA, your attacks have been excellent on the other 2 maps, but here on Clubhouse, you've been left wanted. You need to draw into the well. 1 successful attack just to give you the chance to close it out in defense, or will w7m finally twist the knife in FURIA and get the job done?
Yeah, we just saw a huge commitment for FURIA on that top floor clear, and w7m were narrowly able to get that advantage. It then put the likes of Nade under so much pressure below, and despite there being so little time left, he just could not, for the life of him, catch a timing to get that critical kill. If he did, JV92 probably better postured to be able to do the rest of the work and get that round over the line. But not the reality we live in. w7m now with the lead, now on defense. Can they close it out here finally?
Well, it is Jim Bedroom that could potentially be the final round here on Clubhouse. w7m already with a massive clutch on attack in this site. They don't want a clutch. They just want to get it done. They want to clean it up nice and easy. FURIA, they've got 2 hard breaches. They've got Selma there, and they've got the Maverick. So they have the tools in their belt that they need to open up Jacuzzi Wall, open up the wall into CCTV, and then potentially into Cache. So they have the tools they need to set up for that execute, to get things ready to make a push into the game. But all good plans can change very quickly once you get punched in the mouth, and w7m will be desperate to get the opening pick.
0 in play for this round, 6 cams now in total, and that could be a potential difference maker if Felipox can gain that information and then marshal the troops. Nav trick for Jacuzzi, and that will be followed up with the Vitero from Herds, presumably. The groundwork, as pretty much anticipated with these two, has been pretty good so far, and shouldn't see too many issues in that regard. Well, as I say that, Nate, this is the Mav, but you'll be able to quickly correct. Well dealt with. And in the meantime, Fleetbox has been scattering out that information on the 0. We'll see again if that could influence the late round.
Almost at the halfway point of the round, Jacuzzi walls being opened. You can see that that Kiba barrier being thrown would at least let you know that somebody should be playing inside of Jim, tucked into the corner by the window, as it looks like they're just seeing if there's any utility to stop them going in. In particular, I think they're looking for that F-Nut to see if they can walk on in. But those two Kiba barriers, they're going to be an issue if you want to step, because that forces you down the corridor directly towards this line of sight. Now, Dots, he's under pressure over by this Logi side as he's shooting all of those 0 cams as they're shot in. But a minute to go. Things, tempo-wise, really suiting W7M.
Yeah, I do wonder if FURIA have the util clearance available to deal with those Kiba barriers, because it is their biggest resistance. Palu almost dies from Balk. JV92, an opportunity goes begging. Jim, close. Loban, JV92 with the read, but he still loses the fight.
Loban wins the battle for the Jim, but the war's not over just yet because he is going to fall. Herds making it a 3 versus 4. 35 seconds to go. Palu on the lowest amount of health you could almost be on. And here comes the walkthrough. Bathroom is clear. Volps is down. 3v2 now. Are we finally going to see FURIA find some success on attack? The F-Knock goes off, but Casey hits him, even though he's blinded. And it's all down to Dodez. He's got the red ping. He knows where someone is, but FURIA force us to go all the way. One more round remaining here on Club.
Just when you think they're down and out, FURIA bite back. The mid-round util game, I thought, was for sure going to be the biggest differentiating factor, and W7M would be able to make use of the utility left standing, but not meant to be. A couple of pretty crazy shots hit by FURIA on the map entry. The biggest difference maker. And the final round now, 7-7. Impossible to call, but Jim Bedroom, the site of choice for FURIA.
It's times like this I wish we had infinite OT.
Yeah.
I really do, but this game has to end on this round. Jim Bedroom once more. FURIA will set their battle lines. Valk will get them tons of useful information. Philippe Box on the Mira will just give those defenders something to think about. But the question is, once you see the puzzle that's been set by FURIA, how do W7M set themselves up to solve it?
Well, it's been a hard-fought series, and despite maps 1 and 2 not being particularly close, Clubhouse, it's been so difficult to split the two. FURIA have fought back from the brink, however, and pushed it to 15 rounds. It really did feel like W7M were going to take it in quite a commanding fashion in regulation, but FURIA were able to tap into that additional gear that they so often find in big matches like this. They will be eager to make a run deep here at EWC 25, and there's every world in which the winner of this game is one of the favorites to take it all. But to go that next step, you must win this round. It is do or die. It's a triple hold, cash side, the triangle formation from the defense, and Dots to play frontline on the Monty.
Yeah, and all Monty's doing at this moment in time is looking for information, trying to work out where the hold is. Now, this is a big opportunity, and Dodez will draw first blood. There's an attempt at a trade. Dodez, though, he runs out of ammo as another player swings, and they know that he is low. But he's drawn first blood, and he's stayed alive and on his feet, and you've already now lost cash, and you've lost CCTV. But the battle's still not lost. Philippe Ox on the mirror window can prevent anybody from stepping further, and Dodez has got to be so careful on the Ash. But we're halfway through the round. W7M, They've drawn early advantage, but we've seen FURIA fight back on defense time and time again.
Round 15, but neither team playing with fear. Aggression through the mid-round as FURIA desperately tried to trade that initial kill, but unsuccessful. Eventually, though, Herds able to find 2, and FURIA now in the driver's seat to win the game.
4v3, 4v2, it's a triple for Herds. He's feeling it, he jumps out, he gets the quad, and no, he's going to finish it out, but it's all down to Palu. He's won a 1v2, he's won a 1v3, he needs to win a 1v4 if W7M's journey is going to continue. He's going to throw the gridlock, the track stingers. He won this situation before, but the frost shield is there. The smoke will push him back. Moving back towards logistics. He's going to go down, and that's it! It's a furious